Welcome inside our stream center, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Chris Larson here with AM 1100 The Flag Family Media as we are getting set for former President Donald Trump's visit to Rapid City, South Dakota. Welcome inside tonight's broadcast here on the social media websites of AM 1100 The Flag and AM1100theflag.com, AM9 or WDAYradionow.com, and AM1090 theflag.com. Former President, the 45th President of the United States, Donald Trump, set to take the stage here in Rapid City, South Dakota. And actually, it's going to be happening a little bit later than we anticipated as weather delayed the president's leaving from Rapid City, South Dakota. Our coverage brought to you by Strata Corp, Nodak Insurance Company, Matt Moxness Agency, ND Estate Services, and Dakota Refrigeration. All our sponsors making this coverage possible from Rapid City, South Dakota. I am actually not coming to you live from Rapid City. We will have a chance to check in with Scott Hennon and Kevin Flynn shortly as they are down in Rapid City, South Dakota, getting ready to take in the president, the 45th president of the United States of America, Donald Trump. A bunch of storylines to go through here tonight. Most of all, Reuters reporting this afternoon that South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem, who we had on the What's on Your Mind radio program on Thursday yesterday, South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem, well, she's expected to endorse Donald J. Trump for president tonight at the event, as well as Republican strategist Matt Dole has said that Kristi Noem herself, the current South Dakota governor, fits a likely profile of a vice presidential candidate that Donald Trump would consider as his running mate in the 2024 presidential election. Now, the venue tonight is a 6,000-seat event center in Rapid City, South Dakota, downtown. The event is completely sold out. 6,000 seats. It is the largest event in South Dakota state history from what we are learning. Tonight's event, a fundraiser for the South Dakota Republican Party. And it's going to be a great event. We're going to catch some coverage of the pre-event festivities here shortly. And then, of course, we'll go into the coverage of Kristi Noem when she takes the stage, and eventually the 45th President of the United States of America, Donald J. Trump, when he takes the stage later tonight. Kristi Noem told our Scott Hennon yesterday on the What's on Your Mind radio program that Trump committed to this visit to South Dakota within days of them first making contact. This is not the first visit for Trump to South Dakota. He was previously in the state 4th of July a couple of years ago for that wonderful celebration at Mount Rushmore, complete with fireworks. And so Trump eager to get back to the state of South Dakota. As far as polling is concerned, Trump is right now polling 52% nationally, and in the early caucus or the early states, 45% in Iowa, 44% in New Hampshire, and 45.7% in South Carolina. So Trump, of the Republican nominees for president, the potential nominees, polling very well in the three early states of Iowa, New Hampshire, and South Carolina. Another polling note, President Trump, the 45th president, leads in every national poll. Now, what are we going to see tonight? I think we're going to see much of the same as we've seen from President Trump in his previous rallies. He's coming to a state that loves him. He's coming to a state that he's familiar with. And so really exciting to see what President Trump brings to the stage tonight at the Monument Event Center in South Dakota. We had a chance to catch up with some great patriots earlier today, and one of them, his name is T. And so let's take a look. Let's take a listen into that interview with T.
We met T.
He's a gentleman that has got a suit on. First of all, let me, if you can see the stream going, we've got the stream. He's got the red Trump won tie. Trump won. He's got
he did.
Never Surrender hat on. T, you're looking good.
And look at the back of the hat.
Yep. Oh, the back of the hat says Trump 45 and 47.
Here's another hat.
Okay.
See this one? The world needs Trump.
The world needs Trump.
The world needs Trump more than ever.
More than ever.
More than ever.
I got to get the real deal on there.
Yep.
T, where are you from originally? Are you an immigrant?
Good morning, FM 92.3 FM, The Flag. I'm so honored and happy that, this is my first time visiting South Dakota.
Okay.
And I flew in last night, and from South Vietnam. We lost the country of South Vietnam after the Vietnam War to the communists. And we have built our American dreams here with the community, the biggest community of Vietnamese outside Vietnam in Little Saigon, California. Now we see America, my beloved country, being swallowed by communism, for sure, because we lived through communism.
You just gave me goosebumps saying that.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding.
Yes, we lived through communism. We experienced. There's this horrible story that my other patriot can tell you that we risked our life on the sea at the boats, people, and then in the jungle, and then we came here and we thought this is the best country in the world. It's still, because we still have hope. We have President Trump, who's leading this MAGA movement. And that's why I'm here.
Hey, come on. We all won the lottery. We woke up in America today.
Yes.
You agree to that?
Absolutely. I have faith that God allowed the bad people to steal the 2020 election for a reason. So more people can wake up and we can prevent a civil war. And then, now people have waken up. And I think there is no way that they will do it again. They might try to steal the election again, but they're going to fall into God's trap, and then, all these evidence is going to come out.
T, I got to ask you,
the best person to stop this.
T, I got to ask you how many rallies you've been to for President Trump.
Rallies and events, and historic tour with Bill O'Reilly and private fundraising, maybe 26, 27.
Unbelievable.
But I've known people that been on the tour more than 100 times.
How long have you been in the country? How long have you been
35 years.
And what do you do?
I am a dentist from California.
Oh, very good.
I had to cancel my schedule, my patient, to come here.
This one right here.
Not now, Kev.
It's a little
not
loose.
now,
It's a little
Kev.
sore.
The guy's off duty.
Whatever you have is nothing.
Don't worry about it.
Whatever you
T, help me out, man.
But T, I do want to ask you, you've gone to enough rallies to be part of the Front Row Joes. Tell people what the Front Row Joes are.
The Front Row Joe are the people that have, like either experienced this awakening that we're about to lose this country. So, people say, okay, you're Trump fanatic. You're too crazy about Trump. That's why you're here a day, 2 days, sometime a few days ahead of the rally. And then they're going to go around town and educate the people and find out, why President Trump doing a rally there. But actually, most of us are the one that really not, standing there watching the country being turning into communism. So we are working hard. We have a full-time job. We have to, just put it aside, and I'm happy that my wife would allow me to do this, and my kid. And, I'm flying every time I follow President Trump. I fly in for the event, and I'm flying back for a job, or to work.
I bet you're the only dentist in the Front Row Joes, too.
I am the only one, yeah.
Isn't that a great story?
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
Knows what we're doing.
Yeah, but
well, keeping the fight, bro.
I just want to have just one comment. I want to thank President Trump. Because of him, we all became suddenly real patriots, real Americans. Without him, people just take it for granted, how whatever, going on, the best country in the world will take care of the citizen, and, we represent, this democracy, that we spread democracy so-called around the world. But now people like me have to learn about the Constitution and have to, find out who are the real patriots. Those immigrants that come here and love this place and want to make it a better place for, future generation. That's what we want.
That's a transcending message.
It really is.
Where you're from. I don't care where you are. Freedom, the chance to just make a better life for yourself and your family. Those are such common threads.
Absolutely.
But common thread of life.
It's a common thread of life, but it's not new. Right? It's been back to the founding fathers. But what T is, I think, saying so well is you're part of a new wave, an awakening of people who are saying we need to fight for this country. We need to engage. What's happening? And without Trump, that doesn't happen.
Let me tell you, I come from a community with different people come from different faith, and then people, the Buddhist, Christian, Hindu, Muslim, everybody praying for Trump. So that's why I made this. The world needs Trump more than ever in 2024.
Very good.
That's right.
Thank you.
Well,
Thanks, T.
Pleasure. Nice to meet you.
That is T, and we were glad to catch up with T earlier this afternoon. Actually, this morning on the What's on Your Mind radio show with Scott Hannon. Scotty was able to chat with T here this earlier today. Speaking of Scott Hannon, the What's on Your Mind radio team, Scotty was also checked in with us earlier today. Scotty, how's it going there in Rapid City?
Thanks, Chris. We're having a great time in Rapid City, South Dakota. The place is jammed already, and guess what? It's 3:45 in the afternoon at an event that starts at 7 o'clock. These folks have been out there since the wee hours of the morning, and they are fired up. They're still pouring in. They opened the doors about an hour ago, and these people all have reserved seats. So they were able to come in anytime, but they want to be here early for the pre-show and all the fun. So it's pretty cool. And they're replaying the President Trump's speech during the July 4th, 2020 event at Mount Rushmore. And they just got done with a speech, and the crowd here cheered as loud as they did live in that event. It's keeping the folks entertained here. Now they're doing a little fireworks show and do a little salute to America behind us, so it's kind of neat. I'll show you the press risers here behind me. Got the folks there. There's a nice lady from Real America News right there. Right Side Broadcasting is here. Even the jackals of ABC, NBC, CBS. So it'll be widespread coverage. Newsmax is the place we recommend you watch it tonight. We'll have their feed throughout the evening. And I talked to a few of the gentlemen from Newsmax earlier, and they're excited about the big event. It's been a great day. It really has. We've been up at it since 5 Mountain Time. And the amazing thing to me is that people are waiting in excruciatingly long lines, but they're all happy. You know, they're all happy. And I'm looking at their T-shirts and their hats, and you've got Jesus T-shirts and I Love America and Trump 2024 and all that. It's so cool. So come by and watch our coverage as Donald J. Trump takes to the stage after an introduction by Noem, the governor of South Dakota, coming up.
Thanks, Scotty. Scott Hannon, What's on Your Mind? Heard Monday through Friday, 8:30, 11 on AM 1100, The Flag, and 9 to 11 on AM 1090, The Flag. Booming in the Bakken and booming in the Red River Valley. Speaking of Scott Hannon, just a moment ago, we were able to catch up with Scotty, who was able to show us what he is seeing in Rapid City, South Dakota right now. Let's check in with Scott again and see what the crowd is looking like in Rapid City. Scotty? Thanks, Scott Hennon, joining us earlier on the show tonight. And now let's go to Kevin Flynn, host of the Need to Know, co-host of the Need to Know Morning Show and What's on Your Mind. Hey, Kevin, how's it going there in Rapid City, South Dakota?
This is a lot like if you've ever been to the Fargo Civic Center, the arena that they're in here called the Monument. There's 6,500 people. There you go, my main security guy right there telling me what's up. 6,500 people. This is, I think, the middle arena. This is the hockey arena. They have a huge one called the Summit, where there's a huge volleyball tournament this weekend. So the Trumpster couldn't get in there. They tried, but they didn't want to cancel the girls' tournament. So, and he said, "Yeah, no problem. We'll pack this one." Sold out tonight. Sold out. It's a fundraiser for the South Dakota GOP. I've been here all day. We were here at 5 a.m. local time this morning. The crowds were already starting to form at probably about 7 o'clock. And it's exactly what you would think, man. It's red, white, and blue everywhere. It's a lot of red. There you go. And it's a lot of, and I'll tell you what, man, I want to tell you one story quick, Chris, that I met a gal this morning that gave me a tear and a bunch of goosebumps. Her name is Juliana, and she's been to 37 of these rallies. She absolutely loves the former president. You know, some of us believe he's actually a legitimate president, but that's another argument to have. But Juliana immigrated from Hungary 32 years ago. The process for her took about 5 to 6 years. She had to go to classes. She had to learn the Constitution. She had to learn all the things. And the things that are going on at the border, and we met a dentist from California named T, who immigrated from South Vietnam. They both escaped communism, and they're worried. They're worried that it's taken hold here, and that's what they've seen, and that's why they're here and so passionate about it. And she was great. I'll tell you more about her. I had to go find her in the crowd. She's just a great Juliana, and she's her cars all got stickers all over it. She's just a big fan. She had Chris. She had tight jeans on. She's a bit of a hottie for an older gal, and she had Trump rump on the back of her jeans on both pockets. It was hilarious.
Kevin, what's the atmosphere like right now? Is it electric? What are you hearing from people there?
Dude, look at this. I mean, let me show you. Look there. I mean, it's buzzing, man. And everything. They're red, white, and blue everywhere. Red, white, and blue suit coats. Red, white, and blue. Girls in red, white, and blue dresses, and the flag is everywhere. I mean, and actually, I have my flag hat, but I took it off because I get a little warm with a hat on. But I'll tell you what, another thing too. All of Rapid City's finest. Rapid City's finest and all the Secret Service police are here. There's a great security presence. Everybody's feeling. So I tell you what, this is not the place you come and try and do a climate protest. I'm just saying, this is not the place you come and do some kind of a trans rally. Not flying here. And come and be trans if you want, but anybody's welcome. Well, like free-range chickens, right? E pluribus unum, baby. Come on, everybody's welcome. And that's one thing that you'll see here. There's all creeds, all colors, all genders. They just have a common love for some common sense in Washington, D.C., and some America First policies, period.
We're supposed to hear from Kristi Noem first before the 45th President of the United States comes on stage. What do you expect to hear out of Kristi tonight?
Same thing. She's amazing. She's a South Dakota girl. I married one. I can tell you, they're common sense. She, loves the Constitution and the words written on it. I mean, and we need to stick to that. She's true red, white, and blue, and she's just going to say what she always says. We need to get Washington back to the people. We need the federal government to understand that we don't work for them. Okay? The states weren't formed by the federal government. It's the other way around. States formed them. So she hammers that message over and over again. The thing that I'm kind of interested to see is if there's a lot of shirts running around here, bro, that say Trump Noem on them, 2024. I don't know that she wouldn't be a slam dunk pick, because everybody's wondering who he's gonna take, who he's gonna pick. I seriously wouldn't doubt that she's she's got to be right up there. Let's just say that.
Kev, thanks for joining me today. Enjoy tonight, and we'll talk to you after the speech.
All right, my man. Thanks for hosting, and we'll have a full report Monday morning. Need to Know morning show, and Scott's still efforting a couple of minutes with the big guy. We might be back there getting I just want a picture just want to, I've come close to meeting a couple presidents, but never have. And man, if I get to meet one, he'd be the one I'd pick. So my fingers are crossed. So we get to go meet him.
That's Kevin Flynn from the Need to Know Morning Show and What's on Your Mind, coming to us live from Rapid City, South Dakota. Our coverage brought to you by Stratacorp, Nodak Insurance Company, Matt Moxness Agency, ND Estate Services, and Mark Wagner doing great things there. And our friends at Dakota Refrigeration making our coverage possible here this wonderful day. We started at 6 o'clock this morning with the Need to Know Morning Show live from Rapid City. What's on Your Mind was live from Rapid City. If you missed those shows, head over to our website, am1100theflag.com. Click on the show archives tab, and you'll get the podcasted version of both What's on Your Mind and the Need to Know Morning Show. You can also get them on your favorite podcast app, whether it be Spotify, Google Podcasts, what have you, Apple Podcasts. Just search for the Need to Know Morning Show or What's on Your Mind. Again, Donald Trump en route to Rapid City, South Dakota. We understand that the 45th President of the United States of America was delayed in coming to Rapid City due to some weather issues. So there's a little bit of a delay there. But, of course, as we said earlier, before President Trump, the 45th President of the United States of America, takes that stage, we're going to hear from South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem. A lot of buzz about Kristi Noem tonight. Is she going to endorse the 45th President of the United States of America? It's a very, very strong chance from what we're hearing from news agencies like Reuters that Kristi Noem will indeed endorse the 45th President of the United States of America, Donald J. Trump, tonight. Could she end up being Trump's running mate in the 2024 presidential election? Not sure yet. Nothing official on that. But I tell you what, we are guaranteed one thing. It is going to be an electric night in Rapid City, South Dakota, as Donald J. Trump, the 45th President of the United States of America, is going to be taking the stage, likely within the next hour. But for sure, we're going to be hearing from South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem. And we've already heard from a lot of dignitaries, the Attorney General from the state of South Dakota, the South Dakota Lieutenant Governor, legislators, congressmen, senators, even from neighboring states there in Rapid City, South Dakota. Again, this venue is not the largest venue that this could have been held in, but like Kevin Flynn said, there's a volleyball tournament going on in the largest venue. So what did they do? They moved it to the next largest, said we'll fill it up, and they've done so. 7,000 plus on the ground in Rapid City, South Dakota tonight to witness this speech of the 45th President of the United States of America. In fact, let's pull up. Our friends at the Right Side Broadcasting Network are showing us the current look at the crowd here in Rapid City. As you can see, as they pan across here, it's quite a big crowd gathered. You see some space here towards the back of the floor. The media is further back, but no room for the speech that's coming up, the 45th President of the United States of America. It's going to be a great night, and we are glad you have joined us here online as we give you wall-to-wall coverage of this speech by the 45th President of the United States of America. Of course, Donald Trump, he's likely going to go, if he's the Republican nominee, as of right now, he will probably face Joe Biden. unless something happens unforeseeable in the next, several months. So it's going to be the head-to-head battle there between Joe Biden and the 45th president of the United States of America. As we take a look at some of the latest polling numbers, Donald Trump right now nationwide 52.7%. Ron DeSantis, Florida governor, at 14.2%. Vivek Ramaswamy at 6.6%, and Nikki Haley right now in fourth with 6.2%. Now, in the early states of Iowa and New Hampshire, it looks like this. Trump in Iowa, 44.5%. Ron DeSantis is polling in right now at 16.7%. So Trump, the clear-cut winner in both the national GOP poll and the Iowa poll right now. Tim Scott in third in Iowa with 9.5%, and Vivek Ramaswamy at 5.8%. Now, here's where it gets interesting. In the New Hampshire poll so far that has come out, Trump at 44.3%, the overall favorite in the state of New Hampshire. Ron DeSantis in second at 13.3%. Chris Christie, the New Jersey governor, Chris Christie, 8%, and Tim Scott at 7.5%. And when you look at head-to-head in the general election, in the GOP, Biden leads by 0.4%. Biden at 44.5%, and President Donald J. Trump at 44.1%. So a lot of very interesting numbers. By the way, we would love to hear what you think. Drop a line in the comments section here on either our Facebook or our YouTube live stream. We will try our best to feature the comments as they come in. Again, awaiting the 45th president of the United States of America, Donald J. Trump, tonight at a GOP fundraising event in Rapid City, South Dakota. A beautiful day for an event like this, and people they've come out. They've come out in large numbers, 7,000 plus seats. Every single one of them sold out. In fact, Governor Kristi Noem told us yesterday that they had, maxed out at 6,000 plus, and that was sold within just hours of tickets being on sale for this event. And then somehow they found extra seating. And again, those extra seats, those extra tickets, gone within minutes to see the 45th president of the United States of America, Donald J. Trump. And again, we want to thank our sponsors for making this possible. Strata Corp, Nodak Insurance Company, Matt Moxness Agency, ND Estate Services, and Mark Wagner at ND Estate Services, and our friends at Dakota Refrigeration. All of these making our coverage of the 45th president of the United States of America possible right here online, and also today on the What's on Your Mind and Need to Know morning show. These fine businesses making all of this coverage possible. We're going to step away, take a break. We're going to actually get you to the live coverage from Right Side Broadcasting Network. And we'll come back with more here on the social media channels of AM 1100 The Flag and the What's on Your Mind radio show, as well as on our YouTube channel and our websites, AM 1100 The Flag, WZFG Fargo, North Dakota, and AM 1090 The Flag, WZFG or KTGO in Tioga, North Dakota. So we will join the Right Side broadcast more coverage from Rapid City, South Dakota, ahead of President Donald J. Trump's visit to the wonderful state of South Dakota. We'll get that in here in just a moment. And again, you're watching continuing live coverage of President Donald J. Trump's visit to the great state of South Dakota. Let's join RSBN's coverage right now.
Amazing.
It is, right. And that's why we want you to try it. All you have to do is go to blackoutcoffee.com/RSBN. Blackoutcoffee.com/RSBN for 20% off your first order. You hear those boos right now because people are seeing Biden on the screen. But Blackout Coffee, make sure you get yours today. Again, Blackout Coffee remains true to our values. Blackoutcoffee.com/RSBN. Use the coupon code RSBN for 20% off your first order. Let's take a look at the screen real quick.
Please welcome to the stage South Dakota's 33rd governor, Governor Kristi Noem.
South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem making her way to the stage now. Let's listen.
I love you too. Good evening. You look fantastic. Thank you for being here tonight. 3 years ago, during some of our country's darkest days in recent history, South Dakota inspired the nation by daring to boldly celebrate our God-given freedom. While leaders across the world used fear to manipulate, to lie, and to control people, we chose a different path. On July 3rd, we gathered at this nation's greatest monument, and we invited the world's strongest leader to join us. And President Donald J. Trump showed up. President Trump showed up like he always does for the American people, and he has shown up here again tonight. Now, I've gotten lots of questions from people across the country about tonight's events. They want to know why. Why did you invite President Trump to come support the South Dakota Republican Party? They wanted to know, why would he waste his time in the middle of a presidential race to go to a small, insignificant state like South Dakota? Somebody really asked me that. That conversation went south pretty quickly. Another question they asked is President Trump going to pick you as the most popular and favorite governor? I said yes. So here are the facts. Chairman John Wick had this fantastic idea to bring Republicans in our state together, to rally us around our values and our principles. And I loved the idea. I told him that I would do everything I could to help him. We started discussing inviting all the candidates running to be president of the United States. Tim Scott was asked, and he declined. Vivek was invited, and he turned us down. Other candidates were asked, and all of them told us that they had better things to do. But when President Trump was invited to come be with you tonight, he said, I will be there. You see, that's why people love President Trump. He doesn't listen to consultants. He doesn't listen to the media or the political elite to tell him what is important and what his priorities should be. To him, every American is worth fighting for. No one is better than anyone else. No one deserves to be treated differently than anyone else, and he will never forget about us, the little people in the little states that are the backbone of this country. He shows up for every American, and he fights for us every single day. Now, some people can't figure out his popularity. Why are people so loyal to him? I'm convinced it's because we have never seen anything or anyone like him ever before. And we've certainly never seen anyone like him serve in public office before. He is unapologetically himself. He's real, he's genuine, he is who he is, and he never pretends to be something that he's not. And those who hate America know that he will fight every single day to stop them from destroying this country. When I was first asked for your support, and when I stood with all of you and asked to serve as your governor, I talked about my vision for South Dakota. I believed our state could grow, that we could become stronger, expand businesses and industry, that we could pay down our debt, build stronger families, all while preserving our values and our way of life. We have done that here, and we didn't do it through more government control or by raising taxes. We did it by trusting our people and by giving them more opportunities to succeed. When the rest of the country was locking down and ordering people to stay home, we did the exact opposite. We invited people to come to South Dakota. We used it as an opportunity to tell our story. We were a city on a hill during a very dark time, and we represented hope. We showed people and the country how to do better, how to be better. Many were threatened by what South Dakota has done the last several years. Here's why. While big government socialists want more control over you and your family, your money, and your life, we chose personal responsibility. We cut taxes, we cut regulations, we let families make the best decisions for themselves, and we have thrived. We have gone from flyover country to one of the fastest growing states in the nation. South Dakota's real GDP just grew a whopping 10.1%. Our personal incomes just went up by another 9.2%. Those are both top 5 in the nation. Our population has been growing up to 10 times the national average over the past several years. We are a beacon of freedom to the nation, and we have broken tourism records every year since the pandemic. We have grown our economy faster than any other state and faster than at any other time in South Dakota history. Now, let me give you all a quick refresher on South Dakota's history. In January 2020, I stood in front of our legislature, and in my State of the State address, I declared South Dakota open for business. Just 2 months later, our first COVID cases came to South Dakota. I knew one thing: the only way that we were going to get through it was together. We made decisions based on the science, the facts, and the data, and the science did not support mandates or lockdowns. We asked South Dakotans to use common sense, and then we trusted them. We trusted them to use personal responsibility to make the best decisions for themselves and for their loved ones. And as a community, as a state, we went back to work. Other states were taking a very different approach. They ordered their citizens to shelter in place. They ordered businesses to lock down, ordered churches to close. Some even sent nursing home patients who had COVID back to their facilities. Those decisions were not leadership. They were made based on fear and control. Now, South Dakota, we focused on our facts. I respected my oath to the United States and the South Dakota constitutions. I respected our freedom, and I respected our people. Now, if Joe Biden had been president, he would have tried to stop me from protecting you. Thank God President Trump was in the White House at the time. He let me do my job, and the results have been absolutely incredible. Earlier this year, South Dakota became the first state in American history to reach a 1.8% unemployment rate. No state has ever had an unemployment rate that low. Our people understand the value of work and having a purpose, and they understand that we were created to serve each other. Incomes have been going up faster here than anywhere else. Women-owned businesses do better here than in virtually any other state. Folks are moving here in record numbers. Our birth rates are the highest in the country. Our new housing developments have led the nation. We have had historic tourism numbers, set new records in hunting and fishing licenses sold, and cut taxes, all while building historic revenues because of our economic growth. While other states were struggling with out-of-control crime and violence and hopelessness, South Dakota enforced our laws. We respected our law enforcement officers. We even saw declining mental health challenges, declining drug overdoses, and declining suicide rates. By embracing our faith and our freedom, and by working together, our people are happier. You see, I believe this is one of the main reasons why South Dakota is so attacked by those who want to see us fail. They will do anything and destroy anyone to get more control and power. We refused to comply. All we did in South Dakota is what Republicans have always said that they believed, but we did it, and it worked. Now that terrifies the liberals, because we have proof that our policies lift people up, that they help people, that they improve their opportunities for success. We don't have to speculate or guess or be philosophical about the benefits of our principles. We have proof that they work. 3 years ago on July 3rd at Mount Rushmore, I stood there to honor our nation. I quoted one of our 4 great leaders that are carved in stone on that mountain. I quoted my favorite president, Teddy Roosevelt. It is not the critic that counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, and then comes up short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming. But who does actually strive to do the deeds? Who knows the great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best in the end knows the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither knew victory nor defeat. That night, I used those words to introduce our special guest who is with us this evening. I introduced him as someone who knows precisely what it means to brave the dangers in the arena, someone who strives valiantly, who knows great enthusiasms, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who has firmly and repeatedly stated his commitment to place Americans, American liberty, American safety, and the American Constitution before anything else. Let me be clear. There are many who choose not to be in the arena, many who take the easy path, who criticize, who don't show up for our party, our country, or our constitutional rights. They don't show up for you when it really matters. They didn't even show up here tonight to welcome a former president of the United States to South Dakota. A president who cared enough to come and support our state Republican Party and our great chairman, John Wick. Yes, maybe it is controversial to be here tonight. Maybe it wasn't convenient, but it is not the critic who counts. Thank all of you for being respectful, for being here for a man who shows up every day for each of us. May we all know the triumph of high achievement because of those like him who fight for freedom. It is a worthy cause. I was at the southern border just 2 weeks ago. Make no mistakes, it is a war zone, and President Biden's policies are inhumane. He is ignoring federal laws, he's perpetuating drug and human trafficking, he's undermining our national security. The only person in this presidential race who will fix that situation is President Trump. He started building and funded the wall. He instituted the Remain in Mexico policy, and it worked. He supports our allies, such as Israel and Taiwan. He understands that a strong America brings a safer world. I trust President Trump to use our military only when it's in America's best interests. I have been Commander-in-Chief of the South Dakota's National Guard. I have had South Dakota Guardsmen and women deployed every single day since I have been governor. Before that, I served on the House Armed Services Committee. I know how important American strength is on the world stage. I have seen it firsthand. I have seen President Trump take decisive action time and time again. He exhibits peace through strength. He destroys our enemies, and swiftly without hesitation. And he understands that American men and women in uniform should only be deployed as a last result. The only person in the race that I trust to do what needs to be done on these issues is President Trump. I haven't seen these other candidates fight when it really mattered, when it was hard to do the right thing for our country. Now, some of them talk pretty tough, but where were they when the pandemic was raging? When leaders were taking away people's constitutional rights? Because the government told folks that they couldn't gather together, people lost their freedom of assembly. Because the government told people they couldn't go to church, people lost their freedom of religion. Because government censored what information could be shared and what couldn't, people lost their freedom of speech. Where were these candidates then? They were silent. They were cowering. Or worse yet, they were locking down their own people. They were pushing mandates. They were closing beaches, even arresting people for taking a spring break. Now, yes, I will be attacked for speaking the truth to all of you tonight. And yes, I expect that Joe Biden, these candidates, their political operatives, and the media will perpetuate ugly, hateful misinformation in an attempt to destroy me and my family because of our opinions. It's nothing new, and frankly, I'm getting pretty used to it. But all of us here tonight, we need to heed this warning in this well-known quote. The only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing. So listen, do something. Get in the arena. History cannot and it should not be rewritten. We must remember what has happened in the past, learn from it, and not allow those who abuse their power to ever perpetuate their harm again. To President Trump, tonight, Mr. President, my message is clear. It is an honor to have you with us here in South Dakota. These people here, these people are free. We are the strongest state in America because President Trump let me do my job. We seized that moment and we told our story. As you travel this great country, point to South Dakota as the example of what is possible. We just did hear what Republicans have always said they believed, but we did it and it worked. We don't have to talk hypotheticals anymore. We kept our businesses open. We kept government out of people's lives. We cut taxes. Our government lives within its means. We have a surplus, not a debt. We fund our pensions. We take care of our veterans. We conserve our natural beauty without government mandates. We fight for true and honest education because we know how important it is to hand America off to our kids. We stand up for common sense, like fairness in girls' sports. We do our part to secure the border. We honor America's heroes. We stand for the flag, and we pray to the Almighty. And we sing the national anthem proudly. This is real America. South Dakota is the example that you should share with the rest of the country. You made America great again once. Let's do it again. It is my honor to present to you the man in the arena. He is a man of significance. He is the leader, the fighter that our country needs. He has my full and complete endorsement for President of the United States of America. I will do everything I can to help him win and save this country. Ladies and gentlemen, the 45th and the 47th President of the United States, Donald J. Trump.
And I'm proud to be an American. And there's the vote, folks. And I won't forget. Endorsed President Donald J. Trump as the next president of the United States. And now let's catch coverage, continuing coverage on Newsman. President Donald J. Trump, the 45th President of the United States.
This special broadcast is brought to you by.
As we'll rejoin them in just a moment. Again, I want to thank you for tuning in here on the social media site. Let's get back to Rapid City, South Dakota.
Well, we have to start by saying hello, Rapid City. Hello. And thank you for that incredible South Dakota welcome. I have to tell you, you have to see outside. This place is packed. I wish the press were legit. They'd turn around, they'd show this arena. This arena is incredible. And you are incredible people. Incredible people. I'm thrilled to be back with thousands of hardworking, God-fearing patriots in the heartland of America. I want to thank one of the most successful governors in the entire nation, an incredible person, South Dakota's own Kristi Noem. Thank you, Kristi. Thank you. You already found this out, but Kristi is a warrior for American values. She's tough on China, and unlike other governors, she never locked down South Dakota. You know, they all say, oh, I kept it open, I kept it open. They didn't keep it open. We had some good ones. I'll tell you what, McMaster, South Carolina was great. And we had some really good ones, but Kristi was just incredible. Well, look at your numbers. You gotta look at those numbers. She does well. 10%. What state's gone up 10%? Tell me another one. Kristi, I'm truly honored to receive your endorsement. Very much so. I appreciate it. Thank you, Kristi. Thank you very much. It's a great honor. I get endorsements, some good, some bad. I get endorsements, some don't mean anything. Hers means a lot, let me tell you. Everyone here tonight is part of the greatest political movement in the history of our country. This is the greatest movement. Look at this. This place is packed. We come to South Dakota. I said, how many people do you normally have at your Republican Party dinners and events? Oh, a couple of hundred. This is like 6,000, 7,000 people. This is a lot. Your chairman is great. We'll talk about him in a second. He's done a fantastic job, but this broke your all-time record. And maybe we'll break it again next year. We'll have to do that. You know, maybe we'll break it. We're the only ones that can do it. But we're racing toward a monumental victory 1 year from now. This is so important. There's never been anything like this one. This is, you know, when we did 2016, I said, this is the most important, and I meant it. But this is the most important election we've ever had because our country is going to hell. It's going to hell. Together, we're going to defeat crooked Joe Biden, the most crooked president in history, the most incompetent president in history. We're going to take back the White House, and we're going to make America great again. So 3 years ago, I traveled to South Dakota to deliver a very historic address. It turned out people love that speech. They always say, oh, that was the best one. You know what? I think that beautiful facade. Is there a better place in the world to make a speech, Kristi? I don't think so. Even though you do have the lunatics that would like to chop it up and knock it down, that's not happening. I wouldn't want to be them. Come to South Dakota. Let's do a little number that is an incredible place. And it's some of the most beautiful pictures I've ever had taken of my family and all of us together. We had a tremendous crowd and incredible. Then we opened it up for the fireworks, remember? And for a few years you had the fireworks. And then the Democrats closed it down for the fireworks. I said, why would they do that? Well, how beautiful was that? But think of it, and they closed it down. They were worried about fire, but I said, it's all stone and rock. It's hard for rock to catch on fire. No, they just didn't want to do it, but Mount Rushmore is a very, very special place, incredible place. I stood before you at this majestic period of time and a majestic monument itself and fiercely defended our great American heroes from the Marxist and communist maniacs who were trying to blast them. They would have blasted that incredible work right off the face of that very beautiful mountain. Yet today, under Joe Biden, the Marxist, fascists, and communists are not just tearing down statues. They're tearing down our economy. They're dismantling our borders. They're destroying our laws. They're looting our middle class, mutilating our children. They're mutilating our children. Who would imagine that somebody would say that, and it's true? Desecrating our Constitution and perverting our military. Our military is becoming woke. We defeated ISIS, and now it's becoming woke. Our White House is just a place that's not recognizable, and our highly weaponized Department of Injustice, it's weaponized like never before. Nobody's ever seen anything like this. Under Crooked Joe, I took the word out. I was Crooked Hillary, but now I've given her a different name because I don't like having the same name for it. We have enough words we don't have to do. So I call her Beautiful Hillary. Beautiful. She's beautiful. That was a good day a few months ago, but when he did the indictment thing, it was him. This is not an indictment. This is a Biden indictment. There's a big like Trump's under indictment. No, this is a campaign thing that they're doing. But under Crooked Joe, I just thought it was such an appropriate name. All you have to do is take a little look at what's going on. Millions and millions of dollars have been stolen. But our country is being destroyed under this man. But tonight I repeat to you what I said 3 years ago in the shadow of Mount Rushmore. The American people are strong, and we are proud, and we will not allow our country and all of its values, its incredible history and culture to be taken from us. They're trying to take it from us. You see it every day. You see what's going on with your vote in this election. Joe Biden's banana republic. We have turned into a banana republic. We have no borders. We have dishonest elections. We have things going on today. I mean, who wants to have millions of people like an invasion pouring into our country? We have no idea where they come from. They come from jails, and they come from places that you don't want to know about. And they're all over our cities, and they're all over our states. But with your vote in this election, Joe Biden's country, for a short period of time, hopefully just a short period of time, it ends on November 5th, 2024. We have to take care. We have to take our country back. We have to take our country back. America will be saved, and the great nation of Washington, Jefferson, Lincoln, and Roosevelt, they don't want to mention those names, It'll be restored. We will restore our nation. It's never been this low. It's never been this low. If you took the 5 worst presidents in the history of the United States and added them up, they would not have done near the destruction to our country as Joe Biden and the Biden administration have done in a few short years. Nobody can imagine. Nobody can imagine. And no damage has been worse than the disaster known as Bidenomics. He was given that term as a negative, and he liked the way it sounded, so he tried to turn it, because they're all about disinformation and misinformation. One thing with Christie, she tells it like it is. It's right down. There's no disinformation. Sometimes you may be better off doing it that way. It's easier, isn't it, than having to really produce. But they're a party of disinformation. And so he tried to turn Bidenomics into a good thing. It's not a good thing. It's a real bad thing. It was meant very bad, but he liked the sound of the name. He doesn't know too much about what's going on anymore, but he thought it was good. Since Joe Biden took office, cumulative inflation has reached almost 20%. Think of that. Think of it. Over a 2.5-year period, now we're getting up. Can you imagine just a little more than a year, and we can rid ourselves of what's happened to this country. We can bring our country back. And the dollar has lost more than 20% of its value in just 3 years' time. Think of it. It's not even possible. It never happened before. These are records we're talking about, all records, all very negative records. Joe Biden has blown through $11.5 trillion in wasteful spending that should have never happened, equivalent to $88,000 taken away from every family in America. $88,000 from every family. Under Biden, the budget deficit is exploding and set to more than double this year alone. We were doing something with oil and energy and making a lot of money. We were going to make so much money. We were going to pay off our debt. We were going to lower taxes still further. Manufacturing has contracted now 10 months in a row, and monthly job reports have been revised downward every single month of 2023. Every single month they've gone down. The fact is, we're probably heading into a Great Depression, something I've never said before publicly. I'm saying it in your state. I hate to say that this is the state I have to say it, but you know, I don't believe I've ever said that before. It's a hell of a statement to make, and I hate to make it. The only question is whether or not it'll be during the remaining months of the Biden administration. If it's going to happen, let it happen then. If it's going to happen, let it be during Joe, and we'll come in and we'll straighten this sucker out. I'd rather have it that way. Or will the next president have to bear the brunt of what Biden has done to our country? He's done such damage to our country. And I don't want to be the next Herbert Hoover. You know who Herbert Hoover was, right? The Great Depression. He was the president during the beginning of the Great Depression. But I won't let that happen. I will never let that happen. That I can tell you. During Biden's first 30 months in office, just 2.1 million new jobs have been created nationwide. Now, they have a different wrinkle on it. And the wrinkle is so off that even the fake news back there said that he can't get away with that. No, he makes up these stories, you know, like there's a picture of a fighter jet. I used to be a fighter jet pilot. Then there's a picture of a truck. I used to drive a truck. And then there's a picture. Just everything. This guy. The worst is, did you ever see his golf swing? He said he's a 6 handicap. 6 handicap's a good golfer. You know what he's 6 handicaps? That's a good golfer. This guy can't hit a ball to Christie. He's a 6 handicap. I think that's the greatest lie of all. Do you want to know the truth? By contrast, during the first 30 months of President Trump, we created 4.9 million new jobs, shattering all predictions and projections. Nobody's ever seen anything like that. It's the greatest economy in history. Greatest in history. Under Biden, real incomes have gone down by $7,400 per family. Think of that. Under President Trump, yearly income went up by more than $6,000. That's a record, more than $6,000. Think of that. And all of this horror, and yet Joe Biden is traveling around the country pretending he's an economic genius. In fact, he's actually an economic arsonist, and Bidenomics is incinerating American wealth at a level never seen before. It's an inferno of inflation, taxation, submission, and failure. We submit. Everyone says, what is submission? You're submitting to China. You're submitting to all these countries. We're pouring money out of our country. We can't take care of our own country. We can't help Hawaii. But we send billions and billions and billions of dollars to other countries. The choice in this election is between a Biden economic bust, and it's going to happen, and it's going to be ugly, or a Trump economic boom. We had it booming like never before. This was the most successful economy in world history. We had the most successful. Everybody was happy. African Americans, Asian Americans, Hispanic Americans, men, women, people with degrees from the great Wharton School of Finance, from Harvard, from MIT, people with no degrees at all. Everybody had jobs. Everybody was happy. Now you're given phony numbers because far fewer people are looking for jobs. So they throw around, although it just went up, but they throw around 3.5, 3.6, 3.7%. But it's a different group of people. They're looking for jobs, but many of them aren't looking for jobs. So it's a fake number. Crooked Joe cares only about enriching his own family. I care about enriching your family. And something that, again, this is like an evening of firsts, but something which I proudly state, that I'm the only president that ever lost money while serving in office, and I knew that would happen. I didn't know it was going to be that much. That's a lot. I lost a number of billions. But I knew it was part of the game, and that's what I intended. I didn't intend. I could have made a fortune. Oh, I could have gone to these countries and made deals. You know, I put things in trust. I said, my kids are going to run it. I said, don't do deals outside of the country. Don't do this. Don't. They were going, Dad, can we do something? They said, no, you know, I'm president. We have a higher standard. And then I come out and I watch this Biden stuff with, they go to make deals with countries that it's just the craziest thing I've ever seen. And I got to give credit to Jim Jordan and Jamie Comer and all of these guys because they found things that nobody thought could be found. But it cost me billions of dollars, and it's been worth every single penny of it. Because I'm working for you. I'm not working for me. That I can tell you. I could have made so much. I could have. Sir, would love to do a deal in Saudi Arabia. Sir, would love to do a deal here and there. Would love to do a deal. I really can't do that. I'm president. Biden would do it. So we just, we did it right. We did the right thing. And I do it exactly that way again. I will do it that way again. Look, we have a very short period of time. I do it that way. I even gave away my salary. Does anybody say that I gave away my salary? No. They used to call every month, did you give it away this month to people? Yeah. And you know, you have to give it to various agencies actually. Did you give it away? If I ever said no, it would have been, when I say yes, yes we did, yes we did. I never read anything about it. If we would have said no we didn't, there would be headlines. But it was an honor. It was all an honor. If you want the Bidens to make millions selling out America to China, Russia, Ukraine, while your savings go up in flames, and that's what's happened, how are your 401ks doing, you know, as an example? Then vote for Crooked Joe. He's Crooked Joe. You know, we used to call him Sleepy Joe, but I think Crooked Joe is a better name. Crooked Sleepy, Sleepy Crooked. No, I think it's better. It's more appropriate. If you want better jobs, higher wages, an affordable American dream, then you must vote for your favorite president, Donald J. Trump. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I wish those cameras would turn around. You know, you've heard me say this. It's very seldom. I go to arenas, and we sell out these arenas, and they're great. But I wish the cameras would show it. I wish they'd show it. It would actually be good for their ratings. It's a positive, not a negative. You know, when I first started, we started in actually 2015, and would go into an arena, would be packed, and everybody was enthusiastic. By the way, never have we had the enthusiasm that we have now. Never. We've never had this enthusiasm. And we had record enthusiasm in 2016. In 2020, we had more. We did better in 2020 than we did in 2016. Got millions and millions more. But we've never had the enthusiasm that we have now. But I used to say early on, I'd say, you know, it's a shame. I'd go home and our great first lady would say to me, how are you, darling? I said, could I ask you, did you watch the speech? Yes. And she's tough, you know. I'd say, how did I do? Well, I didn't like your hair. Oh. I didn't like the way your hair looked. I said, oh, that's not good. But I said, how did the crowd look? Well, you couldn't tell except for the noise. You know, the noise, it's obviously not 200 people shouting. Remember, Joey couldn't fill up the 8 circles, and then he supposedly won. The fake news would used to have to come. They'd come down and they'd fill in those 8 circles. But I'd say, how'd you like the crowd? Well, they never show the crowd, but I could tell it was a very big crowd by the year. It's like your great football team. It's like, yeah, you can tell. She could tell. Good. Now I'm going to get a good review tonight. That's good. But you know what? She could tell it was big, but she said, no, they never show the crowd. And I figured that it's maybe the structure of the camera, you know, it's on steel tripods and maybe you just can't turn it. And then we had a couple of embarrassing moments where people ended up fighting in a corner or something. And that camera turned around like a pretzel. They want to show that. So that was my theory. It couldn't do it because structurally, you know, it's very stiff and you can't turn it. But boy, when those guys started fighting in the corner, which was a bad thing, when they started fighting in the corner, I've never seen a camera like that. They got every angle. So I realized that wasn't working, but they won't show. I would love it if the press would turn around the cameras and show this incredible. They don't do it. They don't do it. Did you see that? They don't do it. They won't do it. They won't do it because they're told not to do it. Because they want to make it look, they don't want to show crowds like this because nobody has ever gotten crowds like this. Nobody's ever gotten, it's not me, it's all of us. This is our movement. This isn't my movement. We're sick and tired of what's happened to our country. But they won't do it, even though it's sort of good for them. You know, you show something that's so vibrant. Look at all the people standing over here. It's incredible. They just won't do it. I just said something. Would you please, I asked nicely, would you please turn around? You guys go crazy. Everybody up in the back, they're going crazy. Everyone's going crazy. Those cameras, I didn't see one of them even make an effort to turn around. That's why they call it fake news. That's why they call it fake news. You know, I'm proud of a lot of things. You don't mind if I go off the teleprompter for a second, do you? Better than I thought. Now, we like when we go off the teleprompter, don't you, Craig? Remember at the beginning, I used to do it without teleprompters. I didn't know what to tell. I said teleprompter, but you have to, because when you go on the teleprompter too long, no matter how good you are, it's called the boring time. Boring. But we've had an incredible time with this country. We have such potential. And you know, we speak so negatively, and it's so horrible to be telling you what happened, but you know what happened. Just like all you have to do is watch the newscast, which, by the way, if you look at ABC, CBS, NBC, you look at CNN, you look at MSDNC, which is, I think, the worst of all. I think they're horrible. What they say, they're evil. They're evil. They're really evil. And they're really a wing of the Democrat Party. I mean, they should be paying. Somebody should report that for campaign contributions because it's so bad. What they say is so nasty, so horrible. You know, you don't want your family to watch it. How about me? I hear I'm going to be indicted. I said, indicted? I never learned about that at the Wharton School. Indicted? You're going to be indicted. How about me? I have to go see my wife. Darling, may I talk to you for a moment? Yes. I'm going to be indicted for no reason whatsoever on Friday. And then that happens. Oh, it's traumatic. You call your daughters, you call your sons, and you say this, and it's a terrible thing. And then I hear a couple of weeks later, I'm going to be indicted for something else, then for something else, then for something else. And now they're saying, don't indict him anymore because they lost credibility. But how about that? You go 4 times to tell your kids, and even the lawsuits, it's all inspired. All inspired. No, these are sick people. These are people that are actually sick. I mean, and they're just destroying our country. And if we don't take it back, in 24, I really believe we're not going to have a country left. There's not going to be anything left. And you see it less because, you're here in this great state. And I heard Christy use that term flyover, but it's flyover and everybody admires you when they're looking down. They'd like to be here with you because they know what's happening on the West Coast and they know what's happening on the East Coast. And it's not pretty. So the people that are smart, they say, there's no more flyover. We're coming right here to South Dakota or other places. I mean, you don't see what's going on other than the news, and the news really covers it up. They don't show the main networks. They don't show what's going on the border. It's peanuts. What they show is nothing compared to the facts. This is an invasion and a destruction of our country, and they don't want to show it because they want that crooked guy to be reelected if he makes it to the starting gate. I don't know if he's going. And I used to treat him with a modicum of respect because I have respect for the office of the presidency, and I would never talk the way I talk now. But when they indicted me for nothing, for free speech, I said the election was rigged and stolen, which it was, and everybody knows that. Everybody knows it. Free speech. But I used to say, and we're political opponents, but he actually did this to an opponent, a political opponent. Nobody would ever think it's possible. It wasn't really possible, even psychologically possible. He did this to an opponent. But when you think about it, I never said bad stuff. Now I say he's the worst president in the history of our country. He's the most corrupt president in the history of our country. And as other foreign leaders say, and as I say, he is grossly incompetent, and he's very dangerous because he has no idea what he's doing. He can't put 2 sentences together, and we're playing with nuclear weapons with other countries, and he has no clue what the hell is going on. So I would never have said that out of respect for the office, not for him, but for the office. But now that they've weaponized the Department of Justice, now that it's been weaponized, now that the FBI came out with, you saw that with Twitter, they call it Twitter files, and the things they've done are so bad, they're so evil, with all of the different things that have taken place, and with all of the corruption that you're witnessing on a nightly basis. And you don't have to watch. The great thing about the internet, a lot of it's really bad, but you get to see what's happening. You really do get to see what's happening. But when you see the kind of things, I feel I'm totally free to speak my mind. And my mind is the same as your mind because you know what's happening just like I do. But we will, because they won't, because they don't care about South Dakota, that I can tell you. But we will stand up for South Dakota workers, and we will stand up for South Dakota farmers. Nobody's ever taken care of the farmers like President Trump. As your president, I took on communist China like no administration in history, bringing hundreds of billions of dollars, as you know, pouring into our treasury, hundreds of billions. They didn't like me too much. Actually, I think I got along very well with them considering what we were doing, but what we were doing was fair. When no other president had ever gotten literally 10 cents, they never had 10 cents. We got hundreds of billions. I gave our farmers, out of the money that we got, $28 billion. That's why I say your state, Iowa. I'm going to Iowa tomorrow. I said somebody, and I don't like to say it too often because I don't believe in doing that, or I knock on wood. I have a lot of wood. This is a real wood. A lot of these things are plastic. This is the real deal. But I don't like saying things like nobody else could do this, nobody else. But nobody else could have gotten you 28 billion for your farmers. And I said to the people of Iowa, I said to the people of Nebraska, we're represented very well, Charles. I said, we can't possibly lose because I got the farmers $28 billion from China. Nobody else would even think about it. Nobody else would think about it. And I'll just tell you, you know, a guy who was very disloyal because I got him elected, so I call him Ron DeSanctimonious. He strongly opposed my protection for our farmers. I protected our farmers very simply. And by the way, those farmers got big checks. Any farmers in here got big checks? Yes? Yes. Oh, he's happy. But that goes to the people, that goes to the workers, it goes to everybody. But we 28 billion. I said, nobody else is going to be able to do that. I said, there's no way I'm going to lose farm states. But very simply, DeSantis sided with the communists in China, and he fought very hard that this not take place. He also opposed Medicare, and he opposed a thing called Social Security. Remember this about a politician. Their first idea is always what they go back to. So now I'm sure he's changed. I don't know. I don't watch him. He's gone so low in the polls, I'm not really watching him. They say, sir, forget about him. He's gone. I say, no, nobody's gone. Nobody's gone until it's over, right? It ain't over till it's over. Yogi, the great Yogi Berra, great philosopher. But DeSanctimonious voted to get Social Security. Think of it. Social Security 3 times. Voted. Hands up, voted. He is a disciple of Paul Ryan, the great Paul Ryan. You know who Paul Ryan is? Was it the... And he wanted to raise, and he will raise if he ever got in here, which I don't think is going to happen, not even in 4 years. But he wanted to raise the minimum age to 70. That's a big deal. He also wanted to hit Medicare and hit it very, very hard. I ended the NAFTA disaster, the worst trade deal ever made in the history of our country, and replaced it with the brand new USMCA. That's Mexico, Canada. They say it's the best trade deal ever made in the history of our country. I actually think, I may be wrong, you know, I made a deal with China, but I don't talk about it because once COVID came in, I said, I'm not even talking about it. But the deal I made with China is $50 billion they buy a year. You know, it started out at 4 or 3. And then we got them up to 15. And then I went into the negotiating room and I said, listen, you're so big. We want 50 billion. And they said, okay, 50 billion. And I said, do you remember the farmers remember this? I said, here's what you do. Because the farmers went along with me. You know, it took us a year and a half to get that done because they're not easy to deal with. They're great negotiators. They were ripping off our country. They couldn't believe this was happening because usually you see the way they go now and they bow to the Chinese. They bow. They have no respect. They get no respect whatsoever. But I said, it's going to take a little long to do this. And I'll never forget, 32 farmers came to see me at the White House. Beautiful everything. We're beautiful room. We're all set up. And I said, I'm going to get you a lot of subsidy from China. And one of the farmers raised his hand. I'll never forget. This is the only time this happens. Sir, we don't want subsidy. We just want a fair, level playing field. I couldn't believe it. It's the first time that's ever happened. Because everybody else, Christie says, we want the money. We want money. The farmers didn't. They just wanted a level playing field, which they didn't have. And I went to Sonny Perdue, who was the Secretary of Agriculture. I said, Sonny, what damage have they done over the last 3, 4, 5 years to our farmers? And he comes back 2 days later. He said, sir, it's about $28 billion. I said, it's a lot. I said, we're going to get it. And I got $28 billion, and farmers picked up big, fat, beautiful checks. And I was very happy to do it. And I said, there's no way I lose a farm. How the hell am I going to lose a farm state? Any farmer voted against me. I can't imagine that. So I was a little bit cockier than I should be, but now I will knock on wood just in case. But I don't see how we can lose with the farmers and with the manufacturers, same thing. But they buy $50 billion. Now what I understand is, you know, you have to police that. You have to make sure. I used to go in once every week. Are they buying? Yes, sir, they started. Are they buying? Every week I'd say, are they buying? I didn't have to say China. Yes, sir, they are. They're buying. I bet you right now, if you look, I'll bet they're not buying anything. I'll bet they're not buying at all. And the way they push our country around, it's incredible. There's no reason for it. We had a very strong relationship, but it was a good relationship, and we did fantastically well. But that that deal might have been better than the USMCA, but the USMCA, Mexico, Canada was a very one-sided deal. That NAFTA was so one-sided. I had to say, I said, we have to change it. You know, they made some typos in the original deal many years ago. They were typos of numbers where the typos were actually much more for them, and they didn't change it. They never even called it, you know, you have a thing called, you call up and you say, by the way, we made some mistakes. They didn't bother changing it. That deal was so bad, NAFTA, for us. And now the USMCA is so good, they want to renegotiate the deal. They called up the Biden administration. This deal's not fair. And I hope they don't do it because they shouldn't do it. It's a great deal for us. But I think maybe the China deal might even be better. But we made a lot of them. We made deals with Japan because they were really ripping us big. We made deals with South Korea. You know what they were doing. Everybody, there wasn't any good deal. I said, who made all these deals? We did many, many things, and we made our country successful. We made people in manufacturing successful. We stopped them from dumping steel. We saved our steel mills. It's been such a great honor to do it, and it was sort of easy. You know, Prime Minister Abe of Japan, who was, as you know, assassinated, a great guy, who was a friend of mine. I went to him, I said, listen, Shinzo, this is so unfair, the deal that you have with America. Oh, is it really? Oh, I said, no, it's really unfair. I said, we got to redo it. He says, I knew you'd come to me. No other president came to him. He said, I knew you'd come to me because he understood. He understood how unfair it was. South Korea, the same thing, sort of. They knew it was so unfair. I said to South Korea, we have to renegotiate the deal. We have 35,000 troops there in harm's way because you have North Korea, but I got along very well with Kim Jong-un. If I weren't elected president, you would have had a nuclear war guaranteed. If Hillary Clinton went in or Obama in some form, maybe the form would be Biden, you would have ended up in a nuclear war. We got along after the first month or two when it was rather tough. You remember? Little Rocket Man. And he said, I have a red button on my desk. And I said, I have a red button too. Mine's bigger, better, and mine works a lot stronger than yours. And President Obama told me when we sat down, it's a sort of a ritual before you take office. I sat down, I said, so what's the biggest problem? He said, biggest problem is North Korea. I mean, he really felt we were going to end up in a nuclear war. I said, have you called them? You know, rather than losing millions of people, have you called them? And he didn't say yes. And I said, well, maybe somebody should have to call. And the truth is that they did call, and they were not received well. When we spoke and we dealt, I went over there. You remember that? It was a very historic moment. Went over there. And I said to Kim Jong-un, you know, being a real sick guy, it's just sort of natural. I said, you have the most beautiful shoreline. Think of it. You're between China, Russia, and South Korea. Look at the beautiful shore. You could have the most beautiful condos that you've ever seen and become rich as hell. You don't have to live like you're living. But he's a tough guy. He's a smart guy. And he just loves collecting nuclear weapons. That's what he does. He collects nuclear weapons. And we got along incredibly well once we met and once we started the whole thing. And we saved the Olympics in South Korea because nobody was going. Nobody wanted to be blown out of the stadium. And we came along. They actually participated in the Olympics. We had a great relationship, and it would have been great if we would have had a deal done long ago if the election weren't rigged. And that's the way it is. I mean, it's a shame. Think of what's happened to our country in just 3 years. Think of what's happened to our country. You look at the borders and you look at, we're not respected. We're laughed at all over the world. We're losing all of these countries. Saudi Arabia now is aligned with China. We don't want them aligned with China. They're very good. They have tremendous oil reserves, but we really don't need their oil reserves. You know, we have more oil under our feet, I called it liquid gold, than Saudi Arabia or than Russia. And you know what we do? We get it from Venezuela. They won't take it. We take their tar. You know, they don't have good oil. They have tar. And you know where we process it? In Houston. So all that stuff, if you're a believer in that, and I believe it to a certain extent, not like the maniacs that want to destroy our country, but it all goes up into the atmosphere. And when China's very dirty, it all blows over here, just like you ever see in the Pacific Ocean. We're taking tons and tons and tons of garbage because China dumps their garbage in the Pacific and the tide flows it in toward Los Angeles. We're picking up their garbage. And then they say, we have to keep our claim. No, they have to participate because it blows over in 3 to 4 days. So what good does it do for us to destroy our businesses by putting controls all over the place? By having, we had a trucker. I saw him over here someplace, a father and a son. I said, I read last night where they want to make all of these big trucks that travel all over the country. They want to make them all electric. It doesn't seem to make sense to me. He said, it will destroy the industry because they go for 2 hours and then you have to charge them for 4 hours, right? He was saying it doesn't work, and they put it on. They don't even talk. You got to talk to the people. You got to talk to the people in the trucking industry, not to some person that wants to destroy our country. I actually believe that's what they want to do. But unlike the establishment globalists in this race, and they are globalists, I've also been an unwavering defender of ethanol, which you like right here, on behalf of the American farmers, and remain the ethanol champion. Keep it. It's a big factor in Iowa, your state. It's a big, big factor. Our record on the economy is unmatched in the history of our country. So it's no wonder we're up very big in the polls, leading all Republicans in the primary by massive numbers and crushing crooked Joe Biden in the general election. The new poll that came out just today, remember I used to go over the polls in the old days. I'd go over the polls only if they were good. If they were bad, I wouldn't go over them. If I had a bad period and the polls weren't looking good, I wouldn't talk about them. If they're good, I talk. But I'll tell you, I'll talk now because these are the best polls. In the new premise poll that just came out last night, we're at 62%. DeSantis is second at 12%. But he's sinking rapidly. So we're at 62, he's at 12. He's not doing a great job. And the rest of the people are in single digits. You know, we have a couple of them that are at 0. I wonder, what's this guy from Arkansas? I love Arkansas. This guy, Hutchinson, Ada. I call him Ada Hutchinson. What the hell is he doing? He's at 0. He's been working so hard. He's a nasty guy, actually, but he's been working so hard. He's at 0. Does he think he can win? He's not going to be picked for a cabinet post if that's what he's thinking about. But in the Redfield-Wilton poll, just came out a few hours ago, we're at 65%. DeSantis is at 9%. Now we're in the big league. You know, when we started, when I announced, we were up 20, 25 points. That's a lot. Now we're up 50, 60, 70 points. And then they say, why aren't you doing the debate? I say, wait a minute. If I do the debate, what am I doing? I have a guy at 0, 1, 2, asking me nasty questions, somewhat of a hostile network asking me nasty questions, right? What am I doing? Why am I doing it? And, you know, you want to have a smart president, not a stupid president, right? What I do look forward to is debating the Democrat, whoever that may be. And again, it's going to be interesting to see because I don't think he makes it to the starting gate, but maybe he does. But it's going to be a very interesting period of time. And in the just released Iowa State poll, big deal. You know, Iowa's a very big deal. I kept them first in the nation. They very much appreciate it. They didn't do that. The Democrats didn't do that. But in the Iowa poll just came out, I'm up 37 points, 51-14 on, I don't even know if DeSantis is second anymore. He's heading bad. He's turned out to be an unskilled politician. When asked by Morning Consult, which is a big deal, who has the best chance of defeating crooked Joe Biden in November, it was Trump at 63%, DeSanctimonious at 13%. So that's good. And Christie and her incredible, by the way, he's an incredible guy. Her husband is an incredible guy. And I appreciate you putting up with everything in the world of politics. It's, I don't know how the hell you do it. Incredible guy, wonderful guy. But we're doing well, and she's doing so well. I looked at your polls. I'm not going to talk about it because I think you might be beating me in the state. And that's unacceptable. Usually I come in, it's unacceptable, Christy, to have that happen. But we're leading Biden in an electoral landslide by 5 points, 6 points, 11 points, 7 points, and various other polls. A couple haven't won. You know, as a Republican, when you lead a Democrat in a presidential race by 2 or 3 points, it means you're way ahead. But it's sort of different because the polls are very skewed, it's called. But people that don't know politics, one poll came out last week, I'm leading by 3. And a friend of mine said, how the hell can you only be leading by 3? This guy, he can't speak. And I said, that's the world of politics. And we have to be so careful. We have to make sure that they don't cheat because they are cheaters. And that's the biggest fear that we all have. It's the biggest fear. Biggest fear that everybody has. Our momentum is unprecedented and hopefully unstoppable. And that's the reason that Joe Biden's ordered his leading opponent arrested on 91 fake and phony charges. 91. How many charges are there? But we're going to ask for dismissals of a lot of it. Most of it is just, you ask for dismissal. It's called dismiss the charges. But remember, it's a Democrat charging his opponent. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. That means that if I win and somebody wants to run against me, I call my attorney general. I say, listen, indict him. Well, he hasn't done anything wrong that we know of. I don't know. Indict him on income tax evasion. You'll figure it out. And you know, the good thing with me is I have a big voice and people know me. And you know me for a long time. But people know me and I'm able to speak. But if you're a regular politician, a really good politician, an honest politician, and you get indicted, you get a subpoena, and that gets reported in the paper and the news, you have to leave office. And the Republicans in the Senate and the Republicans in the House cannot let this go on because people are being destroyed. Lives are being destroyed by these sick lunatics in Washington. And I think I can honestly say this, Christy. I'm the only person in the history of politics that's been indicted whose poll numbers went up 25 points or something, right? I think so. You know, usually if you get indicted, it's standard. I've watched it for years. I'd like to announce my retirement. I'm going home to spend more time with my family and to fight these charges. You know, there's nothing you can do. But fortunately, I have a big voice and people know I'm, for better or worse, you know what the hell you're getting, right? But you're getting somebody that loves you and that's going to fight for you. That I can tell you. But you're witnessing the most corrupt and blatant weaponization of law enforcement our country has ever seen, and they're doing it for a single reason: election interference. Because with these indictments comes bad publicity. Now, my case is unusual, but maybe at some point that switches. You know, you go with these people and they're sick, and they say this and that, and you have to prove. But it's incredible. But if you take a look at what they do to the publicity of a person, and I know numerous people over the years that I've really thought were honest in many cases, and they were literally out of politics in a matter of hours. Some of them literally quit immediately upon getting served with a subpoena. That won't happen with me. So we did. Thank you. By the way, and I say this more to the country than to this great state, because we have some states that are very close. This is not close. What did I win by this state, Christy? Like a lot. 28 points or something. So you're very forgiving, right? No, but you have others where it's closer, and you got to be very careful. But you have to get out and you have to fight like hell, because these are dirty players. And what we have to do is we have to take back our country. We have to straighten that whole situation out. And it does. It allows me to now, because this is unthinkable, I'm president and I call my attorney general, indict my opponent. He's doing well. I'm leading Biden in all these polls. Every time I have a good poll, Seems every time they give me another indictment. What's this one for? But if you're the president, you're the chief law enforcement officer of the country. You remember the fake impeachments. We had impeachment hoax number 1 and impeachment hoax number 2. There were 2 fake impeachments. One was over a phone call that turned out to be exactly right. Exactly right. But what you do is you make it impossible for people to win an election. It's called election interference at a level never seen before, and we have to stop it. But if they're allowed, what will happen, whether it's me or anybody else, if they're allowed to do it, that means that the Republicans are allowed to do it. And then you get into this situation, which is really very bad and very dangerous for our country. Nobody thought a thing like this could happen. We did great in 2016 and we won. We did much better in 2020 than we did in 2016, getting many millions more votes. And we're going to do even better than we've ever done before in 2024. I feel that. I mean, I see it. Don't forget, you look at this arena and it's packed. Look at this arena. It's packed. We're a year before the election. You know, these guys don't pack an arena the night before the election. They have a smattering of people. Oh, good Lord. Remember Hillary with the thing with the women screaming? That one woman with the glasses, she's become famous. No. That was the most beautiful stage I've ever seen. By the end of the evening, it didn't look pretty. They rigged the presidential election 2020, and we're not going to allow them to rig the presidential election of 2024. We won't have a country. We won't have a country. Every time the radical left Democrats, Marxists, communists, and fascists indict me, I consider it a great badge of honor. I do. And I'm being indicted for you. I am being indicted for you. I'm not too thrilled about that, but that's part of the job description, isn't it? I'm being indicted for you. This battle is for every patriotic American Joe Biden and the radical left has spied on. Look at what they did. They spied on my campaign, and we caught them. Let's see what all happens. We had a great report come out. Durham was a great report, just took too long, took so long. And we had the IG, Horowitz. He did a fantastic job. By the way, appointed by Democrats. He did a fantastic job. We caught him. They spied on my campaign. Think of what would happen if I spied on, let's say, Obama's campaign or even Biden's campaign. I wouldn't want to. It would be too boring. But let's see. Although you'd see things that were very bad, but censured and persecuted or slandered it's really a threat to democracy while they trample our rights and liberties every single day of the year. You see it, you just turn it on and you see what they're doing. It's a horrible thing. It's for the blue collar workers, the waiters, the waitresses who Biden is harassing with 87,000 new IRS agents that are allowed to carry guns, by the way. You know, they don't want guns, but they're allowed to carry guns. They're allowed to carry guns. While the Biden crime family cheats on their taxes as they take in millions and millions of dollars in bribes from all over the world. I mean, the whole thing is incredible. Joe Biden is a Manchurian candidate. You know what that is, right? He's totally controlled by China and other countries that paid him off. And he's petrified of them because they know the real numbers. Jamie Comer, Jim Jordan, they would not have to wait very long. They could give him a list where the money came from, how much, and that's why I think he's acting so weak with so many countries. It's for the pro-life Christians and others who Joe Biden has thrown into jail, facing 10, 15, and even 20 years in prison for protesting and free speech, while Antifa and other groups burn down cities, kill people, go free, and don't even in many cases get prosecuted. So this battle that we're in is a battle for all of us, and it's for history. This is historic. This is a big moment in our country because we're either going to go one way or the other. And if we go the other, we're not going to have a country left. We will fight together, we will win together, and then we will seek justice together. We're going to seek justice together. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Never forget, our enemies want to stop us because we are the only ones who can stop them. They want to take away my freedom because I will never let them take away your freedom. I'd rather have it be me. Rather have it be me. A friend of mine, very smart, very tough. He said, President, could I ask you a question? What? How do you take it? Every day you get another indictment. You never had anything like this. I said, no, I didn't. I said, I don't know. You just have to take it. I'm doing it for a lot of great people. And I said, second of all, do I have a choice? Do I have a choice? I don't think so, right? Because we have to do it. We did the greatest job ever, and now we have to finish it off. We're going to finish it off. We're going to do a job like we can make this country number one. Right now, we're a laughed at bunch of fools. The world thinks we're a bunch of stupid fools because we're led by a man who should never, ever have been allowed to be in that position. He's in a position that he should have never been allowed to have. And in the end, they're not after me. They're after you. I'm just standing in their way, and I do proudly stand in their way. And I promise you this, if you put me back in the White House, their reign will be over, and America will be a free nation once again. We're not a free nation now. We're a terrible, I don't think there's ever been a darkness around our nation like there is right now. I mean, you take a look at Afghanistan, that horrible moment in history. I was with a lot of the families the other night at one of my places, and they're incredible people. They'll never be the same. They're never going to be the same. That was so unnecessary, the way we got out. I was the one getting us. I think we would have been out sooner. We would have been out with dignity and strength. You don't take the soldiers out first. You take the soldiers out last. Took the soldiers out. The rest was a field day for these people. And they would have never done that. You know, we didn't lose one soldier in 18 months. Not one soldier. Not one soldier. And Biden actually in a speech admitted that, and they gave him hell. Don't say that. That's a good thing about Trump. No, we didn't lose one soldier in 18 months, think of it, over in Afghanistan with the Taliban. And it's so sad to see. I was with these people. They're great people. They show me pictures of their sons, daughters. One came up, sir, you had to know my son. He was so good at football. He was a quarterback, sir. He could throw the ball. There's a mother. He could throw the ball so far. Could I tell you about a game that was played? You know, we have a rival. It's a local school, and they were very tough. And my son threw the ball, and he kept throwing it, and so far. I wish you could have seen it. And I just let her talk. And it was just tough. I don't think the people can ever be the same. So much of that. And they were treated so badly by our government and so badly by this man that doesn't have even a clue. He's looking at his watch. The bodies are coming in. Going, huh. He doesn't know what the hell it says anyway, huh? It was so horrible to see the whole thing. But in addition to Governor Noem, we're pleased to be joined tonight by her wonderful husband, Brian, and her mother, Corin, who I met, who is fantastic. Now I know how this all happened. Could you please stand up, please? Corin, Brian, thank you. You think it's easy being with her, huh? It's not easy. They're incredible, two incredible people. Gotten to know them. Lieutenant Governor Larry Roden has been terrific, really terrific, wherever he may be. Thank you, Larry. Attorney General Marty Jackley, Attorney General. Thank you. Great job you're doing. Great job. Treasurer Josh Hader. Josh, thank you, Josh. Fantastic. Auditor, that's what the United States could use, a good auditor like Rich Satgast. The country could, did you know they said billions of dollars to Afghanistan. Nobody has any idea where the money is. Rich, that wouldn't happen with you, right? He'd know every penny. I don't know, maybe not every penny, but think of it. We put in $200 billion. And Europe, which is approximately the same size economy if you add it up, but which is obviously much more affected by that whole situation, would have never happened, by the way. Zero chance it would have happened. Zero. Would have never happened. And I'll get it done, too. I'll get it negotiated done, but it would have been a lot easier. All those dead people, all those cities that are in ruins, just in ruins. But when you look at that and you look at what happened, this is something that should have never, ever happened. But Europe is in for 20 billion. We're in for 200 billion. Why? It was like that with NATO. I said, you're not paying your bills. The United States was paying close to 100% of NATO. So they screw us on trade, and then we have to protect them militarily. I said, that doesn't work. And I got them to put up hundreds of billions of dollars in one meeting. They said to me, does that mean, sir, that you're not going to defend us from Russia if we're not paid up? I said, did you pay? No, I didn't. That means you're not going to be defended. And the money came pouring in. It was an amazing thing. Hundreds of billions of dollars. That's why NATO has money to do this. But think of it, they're in for 20 billion, we're in for 200 billion. Why? Why aren't they the same? First call I'd make is NATO. You got to equalize. You got to equalize. You got to put up money. But they're dealing with stupid people, our leaders. They're dealing with stupid people. Why should France and Germany, and why should all of them put up money if we don't ask them to put it up? Nobody asked. It was like with NATO. Nobody, Bush never asked. Obama never asked. It'd go and make a speech, leave, and that's it. We'd pay all the costs. And nobody's asking either. Do you think Biden goes there? You've got to equalize. This is not right. I don't think so. I don't think he knows what the hell we're even talking about if I told him. But we have to get them to put up money. They have to put up money because they have a lot of money. But why should they put it up if we're doing it? We sent $25 billion yesterday, and somebody said, it's a lot of money. By the way, $25 billion, that's a lot of money. It was just like on a fluke. Blinken or somebody went there and he said, we're going to give you another 25 billion. That's more than Europe has put up. But we have to be respected again. They don't respect us at all. They respected me, and I was tough on them with all the money I took in from countries, but in particular China. But they actually do better. You can be tough, and you'll do better with them. They never treated us and me the way they treat this administration. They treat them like they're lapdogs. They call up. She said they are. Who said that? Stand up, please. Will you stand up? Who said that? Somebody. Boy. Well, you're right about that. They have to respect you. School and Public Lands Commissioner Brock Greenfield. Brock, thank you. Is China buying any of that land, Brock? No, he says, no, sir. Public Utilities Commissioner Christy Fegan. Thank you, Christy. Great job. A very special guy. This guy is tough. I mean, he's great. He broke every record tonight. He never thought he'd see a thing like this happen because it's true. What Christy said, a lot of the people turned it down. I don't turn down. I come back to the people that love me. I come back. They turned it down. And if they did come, you'd have a crowd of about 100 people. But he knew what he was doing. He went to Christie. He said, do you think you can get Trump? And they called me, and I said, let's do it. Let's break every damn record for South Dakota. He's your GOP chairman, John Wick, and he's doing a fantastic job. John, great job. Great job. Thank you very much, John. A man who's also doing something very special, Rapid City Mayor Jason Solomon. Jason. Thank you, Jason. A friend of mine and one of the most respected people in the Senate. He's a great guy, Steve Daines. Where's Steve? Where's Steve? He is doing some job, and he's my friend. We need more Steve Daineses in the Senate because the Senate has to get a lot tougher. Steve knows that. They got to get a lot tougher in the Senate. It's sad what's happening. And a man who was my first person. He's just outstanding. That's all I could say. He said, I put him in 6 months before I ran. This is 2015 now. I said, what do you think? And they were doing polls, and I looked like I was doing well, beating people. And he came in and he said, sir, I'm telling you, you're going to win. I said, really, you think? And every day he comes to my office, sir, you're leading, you're winning, you're leading. This poll is unbelievable. Look at, I don't even know if it was a real poll. He just kept saying, you're unbelievable, sir. It's the most incredible politician I've ever seen. I haven't even started yet. And he got me a little bit excited. And then I started seeing the country wasn't doing well. And I said, you know what, Corey Lewandowski, I think what we're going to do is we're going to run. And he's a great guy and a very smart guy and a wonderful person and a friend of everybody, Corey Lewandowski. Where is he? Where is he? It's true. Were they real polls, Corey? You better tell me. Oh, he said no. He said no. I have a feeling that might be true. Thank you, Corey. Great guy. With the help of many of you in this arena, in 4 short years, we achieved more than any administration in the history of our country. We have to. And I say that all the time, and the fake news doesn't even correct me. We've done so many things. We became energy independent for the first time in history, and soon would have been energy dominant for the first time ever. Making billions and billions of dollars, rapidly paying down our staggering $34 trillion in debt. We're going to pay it down so fast. And reducing your taxes still further. I gave you the largest tax cut in the history of our country, larger than the Reagan tax cuts. We created the most secure border in U.S. history, built nearly 500 miles of border wall, got Mexico to give us 28,000 soldiers. You know, they always say, oh, he didn't get Mexico. I got Mexico to give us free of charge 28,000 soldiers. While we were building the wall, we built almost 500 miles. You know what my critics say? Oh, but it wasn't all new. No, if there was an old 2x4 laying in the ground that's 50 years old, where they would take it and throw it away, would put in a brand new wall, they'd say, that was a renovation. That wasn't, no. These people are sick. But we built almost 500 miles. Then we were going to add another 200 miles, and we had it all done. You saw what happened, and would have taken them 3 weeks to put it up. We had the bad result in the election. Would have taken 3 weeks, and we would have, every hole would have been plugged. And we built the exact wall that the Border Patrol, they're incredible. Brandon Judd is incredible. Tom Holman is incredible. We have incredible people, and they want to do their job. It's, you know, they could sit back and they could just not do anything. They really want to do. They love the country. They want to see it happen. But we got Mexico to put up billions and billions and billions of dollars in 28,000 soldiers protecting our border. We had the best record ever in the history of our country, and that included human trafficking, mostly in women, a horrible thing. You think of it as an ancient, horrible situation, but it's bigger now because of the internet. It's this massive, massive business, much bigger than it was 100 years ago and 200 years ago. It's horrible, but we had it to the lowest point it's been in decades. And we had drugs down to the lowest point they've been in decades. And we got Mexico to give us all those soldiers. For all those people that say this was much more money than I was going to get Mexico to pay, they gave us 28,000 free. Now, I did tell them, listen, if you don't do that, we're going to tariff all the cars that come into the United States at a level like has never happened before. We would love to give you 28,000 free soldiers. Sir, we would love to give you 28,000. You know, when I first told them about that, we need 28,000 soldiers, your soldiers, free of charge. We need them on the border. And they looked at me like, are you kidding? Then I said, no, we have to have it. No, we won't do that. I said, yes, you will. You will do it. I'm telling you, you will. And we had a person at the State Department, a woman who was great. She was dealing with Mexico for 25 years. Sir, he'll never do it. She was very good, but she was never able to get anything. But she said, he won't do it. They won't do that. And I said, yeah, they will. Then when I met with the representative, the top guy, I said, yeah, we want 28,000 soldiers. He said, we're not going to do that. Why would we do it? You're going to do it. You're going to do it. He said, no, we're not. I said, yes, you are. Here's the story. I'm signing this document right now. On Monday morning, this was a Friday night. On Monday morning, Everything you send into the United States, we're going to have a tariff on of 25%. And that's more money than your 28,000 soldiers will ever cost in a million years. Sir, I'd like to leave this room right now and make a phone call. I'll be back in 5 minutes. I said, you can do that. He came back. Sir, it would be our great honor to supply you free of charge 28,000 soldiers. And when I was negotiating, I said to Brandon Judd, and I said to Tom Homan, and I said to all of the people that were there that are so great, we had that border so good. It was so, all he had to do was go to the beach, okay? Which he does anyway, but he destroyed everything. If he went to the beach, who the hell is telling him to go to the beach every day? Tell me, does he look good? He can't lift. You know, those things weigh about 3 ounces. They're meant for children to pick up. He can't lift the chair. He can't get his feet out of the sand. Who the hell, does he have some political consultant say, you know, you've got a great body. You should go to the beach. Who the hell is giving him that advice? I don't know. Does he like the beach that much? So crazy. But we negotiated, very important, remain in Mexico, because they used to come into our country and we couldn't get them out. When they touched our soil, you couldn't get them out. So we said, we want remain in Mexico. Hundreds of thousands of people were in Tijuana and different places. I wouldn't say Mexico was thrilled until we learned who they were. And in many cases, we wouldn't accept them. We wouldn't take them. And Biden gave that up. It was not easy. He gave it up. And we deported illegal alien criminals by the tens of thousands, MS-13. ICE is so incredible. They don't get the credit. These guys are so tough and love our country so much, they would walk into a nest. They call it a nest of MS-13. These are killers. These are the toughest. This is the toughest gang probably in the world. A lot of them go to Long Island. They go to different places, but Long Island, for whatever reason, and we have thousands of them. We got rid of thousands, but these guys would walk into a nest and you just see fists flying. I mean, it's the most incredible thing. Who the hell wants to do it? See that guy there with the black? You're a stand-up, please. You're a tough guy. You're not going to do that job. Right? Oh, he voted for Trump. I like him. I knew he's got a thing. I vote for you too. But you wouldn't do that job. I wouldn't do the job either. But these are tough people, and they love our country. And they were taking them out. They used to call it a paddy wagon. They were throwing them in, and they were taking them out by the thousands out of our country. And we had a problem because these other countries, like El Salvador, all of these different countries, they wouldn't take. Guatemala, they wouldn't take the people back. And they came to me and they said, sir, Guatemala, El Salvador, they won't take them back. They never have. They've never agreed to do it. And President Obama was never able to get them back. I said, oh, how much do we give them in aid a year? Sir, we give them 75 million. I said, I think you're wrong. I think it's 10 times that amount. Sir, I'd like to check. He comes back. Sir, you were right. It's 750 million. I say, well, that's peanuts compared to what we do, but it's a lot of money. So I said, inform them that effective immediately, we're not making any economic development payments to the country. Because what they would do is we would load up a plane, we would load up a bus, we'd take it into their country and they wouldn't allow it in. They put planes on the runway so our planes would fly in. They had big planes put all over the runway so our planes couldn't land, so they'd come back. This went on for years. And I said, okay, what you do is we're not going to give them any more money. The 750, inform them, effective immediately, no more money. The following morning, I got a call from the 3 presidents. Sir, we'd like to talk to you. Actually, there were separate calls too, but the exact same words. Sir, I understand there's some difficulty with bringing people back to our country. I said, yeah, for about 10 years, you haven't allowed anybody back in. You send them out yourself in the caravans, but you don't take them back. He goes, sir, perhaps there's a misunderstanding. We would be honored to take them back. Sir, when will the money start coming back into it? I said, number one, you got to take them back. We brought them back into those countries by the thousands and thousands and thousands. Some of these MS-13s, you read the story, in Long Island. In Long Island, 2 beautiful young girls, 16 years old, were walking to school, and they attacked them and they cut them up in pieces, little pieces. They killed them both. And they used knives, not guns, because the knife is much more painful. They watched these kids suffer. These were beautiful, perfect kids, number one in their class. The other was fantastic athlete. They cut them up in pieces. These are animals. I said that publicly. I said, these are animals. And Nancy Pelosi said, these are human beings. They're not animals. No, they're animals. And we got them out by the tens of thousands. Now they're pouring back into our country because we have stupid people running our country. We appointed over 300 federal judges and 3 great Supreme Court justices. And I'm going to tell you something, because it's really a positive. It's a big positive, but they try and play it as a negative. Last year, those justices bravely and incredibly ruled on something that everybody has wanted for decades, for 51 years. They ruled to end Roe v. Wade. That was a big thing. And it's probably cost us politically, because the other side got energized. And, you know, they're the radicals, not the pro-lifers. But now pro-lifers have a tremendous power to negotiate. They have a power. You had no power to negotiate, because with Roe v. Wade, you couldn't negotiate. They could do anything they wanted. We didn't have any of that before this ruling. This moves the issue back to the states, where every legal scholar said it should be. And like President Ronald Reagan, good man, but like Ronald Reagan before me, I support the 3 exceptions for rape, incest, and life of the mother. I support. Not everybody does. I think a large portion do. I think you should, but again, that's your own feeling. Remember, the Democrats are the radicals on this issue because they're willing to kill babies in their 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th month, and even after birth. They're willing to kill babies. So when politicians talk about this, they have to say that they're the extremists, because if you're willing to take a baby out of the womb in the 8th month or the 9th month, or after the baby's born, remember that crazy governor, the past governor from Virginia, where he said, when the baby's born, you make a decision. And just recently with the Supreme Court. So that, by the way, the pro-life question, it's going to get you in a position where a lot of tremendously good things are going to happen. 52 years they tried to get that out. We did it. And now you're going to be in a position to do what everybody knows is right. And it's a very important decision. Nobody thought it would be possible to get, but it's something that's very important. The Supreme Court also approved something that nobody thought they would ever see: merit-based systems of education. In other words, if somebody is going to college and has all A's and wants to apply all A's, the best of everything, works so hard and gets rejected by somebody that didn't have anywhere near the academic credentials, nobody thought that would ever get approved. And that was so important. That was such a big thing. It's called merit-based. We have to go back to a merit-based country. But that was just the beginning. Here's just some of the agenda I'll be immediately implementing when it's all of us, when we become 47th President of the United States of America. Before I even arrive at the Oval Office, shortly after I win the presidency, I will have the horrible war between Russia and Ukraine settled. He would have never done it. I know them both. You got to say. When I was on CNN, I said, I want to see whose side are you on? I said, I'm on the side of people not being killed. I'm on the side of hundreds of thousands of people are dying. And I think that's going to be one of the bad things later on, when you find out the real number of people dying in that war. You know, they'll knock down a city, they'll knock down an apartment house, they'll say 2 people were injured. They weren't injured. There were hundreds and hundreds of people killed. Those buildings don't come down and you have 2 people injured. Big buildings coming down, or buildings that are 1,000 years old with the golden domes. You can never do that. But much more importantly, the people. So many people, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands. It'll be millions. It's already millions. And it's a very, very sad thing. And the numbers are far bigger than anyone understands. And I'll get that done. I'm the only candidate who can make this promise. I will prevent World War III. I will prevent it. Nobody else is going to prevent it. Nobody else is going to prevent it. And this will be a war like no other. This is a nuclear war. If you have World War III, it'll be a nuclear war. And this won't be army tanks going back and forth shooting at each other. This will be levels of destruction that nobody's ever contemplated or thought of before. I will totally obliterate the deep state. We started that. We were doing so well. Then COVID came in. And we'll fire the corrupt bureaucrats who have weaponized our justice system and destroying our country. To stop the Marxist prosecutors who release rapists and murderers while persecuting Republicans, conservatives, people of faith, I will direct a completely overhauled DOJ to investigate every radical DA and AG in America for their illegal, racist, and reverse enforcement of the law. I will immediately terminate every open borders policy of the Biden administration. We will seal up our borders like they were when they took office. Week after week, we're watching as Joe Biden's deadly border betrayals take precious, innocent lives. In May, a pack of 5 adult illegal alien and suspected MS-13 animals were arrested in Maryland for brutally murdering a 15-year-old boy and dumping his body in a state park. When the parents saw this, they'll never be the same either. The people that I was with the other night, they'll never be the same. These parents will never be the same. No parent will ever be the same. Just last month, a savage illegal alien who was released into our country by Joe Biden and his crazy, weak orders, and there are no orders, was arrested for raping an 11-year-old girl and strangling her to death after she was raped. Shortly before she was murdered, she texted her father that someone was knocking at the door. He arrived home from work and found his daughter's body stuffed in a laundry basket under her bed. These vicious Biden border killings must end, but it's only going to get worse because they're letting people in from prisons, from mental institutions. They're letting some of the worst people in the world in. And I tell you, I've met a lot of your law enforcement tonight. We have the greatest people in the world, law enforcement. They know how to do their job. We have to let them do their job. When I'm reelected, we will immediately commence the largest deportation operation in American history. But we cannot wait until 2025 to begin stopping this horrible invasion. This is like a military invasion. They're killing hundreds of thousands of people between the drugs that are coming in, the people that are coming in, the crime. That's why tonight I'm calling on congressional Republicans to ban Joe Biden from using a single tax dollar, no taxpayer money, to release or resettle illegal aliens into the United States, starting on the government funding deadline of September 30th. See? We take better care of these people, and many of them are criminals, than we take care of our veterans, our soldiers, and spend a lot more money doing it. You know, in New York, many of them are living in luxury hotels. Luxury hotels, hotels that you wouldn't want to go to because you wouldn't want to pay the price. Luxury hotels, it's not even believable. The time for talk is over. Now is the time for action. And they should immediately defund. Time for action. People are tired of talk. People are tired of talk. I said to our First Lady the other night, you know, this is big stuff. They caught Biden getting $10.2 million. That's peanuts compared to what the other numbers. But the guy said, this is big stuff. She goes, oh, well, all right. I said, what do you mean? Well, nothing will happen. We got to let it happen. And I tell Steve and everybody, you got to take care. I mean, our country is being fleeced and robbed by people that have gotten away with things that nobody should be allowed to. And a lot of the Republicans, and they're great people, and great people just period. Democrats too, they feel it. Things should happen to take care of this. When she went, oh, that's good, nothing will happen. And a lot of people feel that, right? A lot of people feel that. We can't have that. And I hope that's why Steve and his friends, because he's got some great ones over there, but I hope the Senate gets tough, because the House has been working hard, but the Senate under this guy, Mitch McConnell, has been a disaster. And they should immediately defund the DOJ and prosecutors who are trying to take conservatives and Republicans out of political races through indictments and other illegal means. That's what they're doing. You know, if I was in third or fourth place, or if I wasn't running, I'd be living the life of Raleigh. I wouldn't be here with you tonight, but I'd be living there. I'd have nice houses all over the place. I'd be living a beautiful life. They wouldn't indict me. They indicted me because I'm in first place. And I hate to read those good polls here, because every time I read a good poll, they want to indict me again. Maybe I should announce I'm doing horribly. It's horrible. We'll withdraw it. Their goal is to interfere with elections in order to make it harder for Republicans and conservatives to win. Congressional Republicans should also stop the Biden administration from bringing back COVID mandates, lockdowns, or restrictions of any kind by cutting off the money. And in your state, because of your governor, you're not going to have that problem, but a lot of states do. The radical Democrats are trying hard to restart COVID hysteria. I wonder why. Is there an election coming up by any chance? You know, I saw just the other day for the first time, we're thinking about masks again. I said, what's going on? Oh, that's right, there's an election coming up. No, these guys, they'll do anything. But we can't comply because it's bad. And just follow your governor, follow your governor. On day one of my new administration, I will terminate every Green New Deal restriction that is destroying the U.S. economy with skyrocketing energy costs. Starting with Biden's preposterous electric vehicle mandate. You know, some people want to drive for more than an hour and a half. Sean Fain, you know who that is? The president, and he's a respected guy, president of the United Auto Workers, cannot even think about allowing all electric cars. They will be made, every one of them, in China, and the auto industry in America will cease to exist. And they have to, if they do all electric cars, none of them will be made here. They have all of the minerals, they have all of every form of material, every form of everything they have. We have a thing called gasoline, and they don't have that, but they have to do something. And you know what you really want is some people like an electric car, some people like, you got to have choice. Hybrids maybe are good, but you got to have choice. They're forcing it. Think of it. California had big blackouts this week, and they had a restriction on electric cars taking any electricity. You believe it? And then they want to go all electric. The whole thing is crazy. There is already a giant EDLOT. We call it an EDLOT. They don't go far along, are very expensive, and the consumer must be given a choice. The consumer wants choice just like we want school choice. We want choice in what kind of a car we buy. So vote for Trump, and I will stop this madness immediately. I will stop it. And, you know, when you think about it, Mexico and Canada love Biden. They love this idiotic policy. That's so good for them. They won't follow suit. And save Michigan and all of the other auto states, because the American consumer just is not interested in doing this. They're not going to do it. They're all over. It's a glut. They call it an EDLOT. But we have to save the American consumer is what we really have to save. I will revoke China's most favored nation status. They have a trade status, most favored, because they say they're a developing country. Well, you know what? We're a developing country, too. We have to redevelop because our country's gone to hell. And we will ban China from buying up America, including American farmland, which you know something about. On day one, I will sign a new executive order to cut federal funding for any school pushing critical race theory, transgender insanity, and other inappropriate racial, sexual, or political content on our children. And I will keep men out of women's sports. I will sign a law prohibiting child sexual mutilation in all 50 states. Now think of it. Could you imagine 10 or 15 years ago having some politician, hate to use that term, but I guess that's what I became, never really wanted to be a politician, but that's what I became, I guess. But could you imagine saying, I will stop child mutilation? Who would think of this? Child mutilation without parental consent. Can you imagine if you made that statement 10 years ago, they'd say, is this guy crazy? But that's what you have to do. We'll stop child mutilation. And can you imagine having to say that we are going to restore the Trump ban on transgender in the military. We had a ban on transgender because, and I went to generals. I say, what do you want to do? No, sir, please do it. But then you see the same guys on television. Well, I'd like to, it's very sad. You know, I had a ban, and tremendous amounts of drugs are necessary, a lot of other things. You're not allowed to have drugs in the military, so just there. And I love everybody. I mean, I love everybody, but it's not something that works, as people will tell you, as generals will tell you, as people in the military will tell you. So I had a ban, and immediately they released that ban. And, you know, it's not a good situation. Just as I did for 4 years, I will fully uphold the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment is under siege. And I will secure our elections. Our goal will be one day voting with paper ballots and voter ID. That's all we should have. But until then, you got to get out and vote. The way we win is to swamp them. They can only cheat so much. And, you know, a lot of people say, oh, vote early, you know, go vote early, vote Tuesday. You know, they had a vote in Arizona where many of the machines were broken, the Republican machines, of course. For Carrie Lake, who's a wonderful woman, but they had a vote, and they got there on Tuesday, and they stood in line for hours and hours and hours because a big percentage of the machines were not working. Terrible thing. This is what we must do to restore our country to greatness. Together, we are taking on some of the most menacing forces and vicious opponents our people have ever seen. We've never seen anything like it. But no matter how hateful and corrupt the communists and criminals we're fighting against may be, you must never forget that this nation does not belong to them. This nation belongs to you. It belongs to you. This is your home. This is your heritage. And our American liberty is your God-given right. We can't let anybody take it away. From Sioux Falls to Rapid City, from the Black Hills to the Badlands. What are the Badlands? Explain those Badlands. That's a hell of a name. I live in the Badlands. Actually, the inner cities are the Badlands, right? I'll bet your Badlands are very nice. And from the open skies of the Great Plains to the majestic banks of the wide and beautiful Missouri, you stand on the shoulders of some of the toughest, freest, and fiercest people ever to walk on this earth, like her, like him, like so many. This state was built by strong South Dakota men and proud South Dakota women who braved the snow and the rain and the hot and the cold, the dangers and the diseases to head west and settle their families on the great frontier. Life was hard and it was tough, but they were Americans, and this was to them God's country. I fully understand it. Fully understand it. This is God's country. South Dakota is the state where Lewis and Clark discovered the awesome splendor of the American West. It's where fearless American workers carve their heroes into the face of Mount Rushmore. Think of that. It's where generations of hunters and trappers, cowboys, ranchers, miners, farmers, workers, and craftsmen helped build America into the greatest nation in the history of the world. But now we are a nation in decline. We are a failing nation. We are a nation that has the highest inflation in 50 years, where banks are collapsing and interest rates are through the roof. Likewise, we are a nation where energy costs have reached the highest in our history, where we are no longer energy independent or energy dominant as we were just a short number of years ago. We are a nation that is begging Venezuela and others for oil. Please, please, please help us, Joe Biden says. Yet we have more liquid gold right under our feet than any other country in the world. We are a nation that just yesterday heard that Saudi Arabia and Russia will be reducing their output of oil and substantially increasing the price. And we met that threat by announcing that we no longer will be drilling for oil in large areas of Alaska. We are a nation that is consumed by the radical left's Green New Deal. Yet everyone knows that the Green New Deal is fake and will lead to our country's destruction. We are a nation whose leaders are demanding all-electric cars, despite the fact that they can't go far, cost too much, and whose batteries are produced in China with materials only available in China, when an unlimited amount of gasoline is available inexpensively in the United States, but not available in China. And now we are a nation that wants to make our great army tanks all electric, so that despite the fact that they will not be able to go very far either, few pollutants will be released into the air as we blast our way through enemy territory. And also, we are a nation who wants to make our jet fighters with a green energy stamp, losing 15% efficiency, but allowing us to keep our enemy's atmosphere clean of pollutants while we attempt to knock out their planes all over the skies. We are a nation that ended oil exploration and production in the U.S. just as the price of oil reached an all-time high. What other country would do such a thing as that? We are a nation that surrendered in Afghanistan, leaving behind dead soldiers, American citizens, and $85 billion worth of the finest military equipment in the world. And we are a nation that allowed Russia to devastate a country, Ukraine, killing hundreds of thousands of people. And it will only get worse. It would never have happened with me as your president. And for 4 straight years, it didn't happen. And China with Taiwan is next. We were a nation that has weaponized its law enforcement against the opposing political party like never seen before. We've got a federal bureau of investigation that won't allow bad election-changing facts to be presented to the public, and which offers $1 million to a writer of fiction about Donald Trump to lie and say it was fact. where Hunter Biden's laptop from hell was Russian disinformation, and the FBI knew it wasn't, but 51 intelligence agents said it was. And they knew it wasn't also. And the Department of Justice that refuses to investigate egregious acts of voting irregularities and fraud. And we have a man who is totally corrupt and the worst president in the history of our country, who is cognitively impaired, in no condition to lead, and is now in charge of dealing with Russia and the possibility of nuclear war, which would be World War III and far more devastating than any of the previous world wars because of the weaponry that no one even wants to think about. Most powerful weapons in history. We're a nation that no longer has a free and fair press. Fake news is all you get, and they are the enemy of the people. They refuse to discuss the Biden crime family, but enjoy covering false indictments of Donald Trump, who has done nothing wrong. We are a nation where free speech is no longer allowed and where crime is rampant and out of control like never before. We are a nation that is allowing Iran to build a massive nuclear weapon and China to use the trillions and trillions of dollars it has taken from us to build a military to more than rival our own. And less than 3 years ago, we had Iran, China, Russia, and North Korea in check. They weren't going to do a thing against us, and everyone knows it. They respected us greatly. Now Russia and China are holding summits to carve up the world. And perhaps most importantly, we are a nation that is no longer respected or listened to on the world stage. No respect. They think we're run by fools. We are a nation that in many ways has become a joke. And we are a nation that is hostile to liberty, freedom, and faith. We are a nation whose economy is collapsing into a cesspool of ruin, whose supply chain, this horrible, horrible supply chain, is broken, and whose stores are not stocked, whose deliveries are not coming, and whose educational system is ranked at the bottom of every single list. We are a nation where large packs of sadistic criminals and thieves are allowed to go into stores and openly rob them, beat up and kill their workers and customers, and leave with armloads of goods, but with no retribution, where the authority of our great police has been taken, where their families and pensions have been threatened, and their lives would be destroyed for the mere mention of the words law enforcement. We are a nation where fentanyl and all other forms of illegal drugs are easier to get than formula for our beautiful little babies. A nation whose once revered airports are a dirty, crowded mess. You sit and wait for hours and then are notified that the plane won't leave, and they have no idea when they will, where their ticket prices have tripled. They don't have the pilots to fly the planes. They don't seek qualified air traffic controllers, and they just don't know what they're doing. We are a nation that has lost its confidence, it's lost its willpower, and it's lost its strength. We are a nation that has quite simply lost its way. But we are not going to allow this horror to continue. 3 years ago, we were a great nation, and we will soon be a great nation again. It was hardworking patriots like you who built this country, and it is hardworking patriots like you who are going to save our country. 2024 is our final battle. With your support in this primary, we are going to finish what we so brilliantly started. With you at my side, we will demolish the deep state. We will drive out the globalists. We will cast out the communists. We will throw off the sick political class that hates our country. We will rout the fake news media, and we will drain the swamp once and for all. Like those patriots before us, we will not bend, we will not break, we will not yield, we will never give in, we will never give up, and we will never, ever back down. Together, we will complete the mission. We will cross the finish line. We will evict crooked Joe Biden from the White House, and we will take back this country with a righteous and magnificent victory on Election Day 2024. The great silent majority is rising like never before, and under our leadership, the forgotten men and women will be forgotten no longer. We are one movement, one people, one family, and one glorious nation under God. And together we will make America powerful again. We will make America wealthy again. We will make America strong again. We will make America proud again. We will make America safe again. And we will make America great again. Thank you. Thank you, South Dakota. God bless you. God bless you all. Thank you. Thank you very much.
With you tonight, I'm going to be joined by Scott Hennon here, host of the What's on Your Mind radio program, who is live in Rapid City. We're going to break down President Trump's speech, talk a little bit about Kristi Noem's her speech before President Trump came on the stage. I tell you what, a lot to break down with President Donald J. Trump, the 45th president of the United States of America. Again, we're brought to you by Strata Corporation, Nodak Insurance Company, Matt Moxness Agency, ND Estate Services, Mark Wagner, ND Estate Services, and Dakota Refrigeration, bringing our coverage from Rapid City, South Dakota, here today on AM 1100, The Flag, on the What's on Your Mind show, and on the Need to Know Morning show with Kevin Flynn and Alex Taylor. Now, All of this will be broken down again on Monday, both on the Need to Know Morning Show, starting at 6 a.m. and on What's on Your Mind, which will get underway at 8:30 on Monday morning. And then we'll go statewide with What's on Your Mind on AM 1100 The Flag. Booming in the Red River Valley, the 50,000 watt blowtorch of the Red River Valley, AM 1100 The Flag at FM 92.3. And then booming in the Bakken after 9 on AM 1090, FM 92.7 out in beautiful Tioga, North Dakota. Again, AM 1100 The Flag, AM 1090 The Flag, WZFG and KTGO. You can find those online at am1100theflag.com or am1090theflag.com. Download our mobile apps. Take us wherever you go here on the web. So, breaking down Kristi Noem's speech, and again, we're going to be joined momentarily by Scott Hannon, host of the What's on Your Mind radio program. For Scott's analysis, Scott is down in Rapid City, South Dakota. But Kristi Noem, again, introduced the 45th President of the United States of America, Donald J. Trump. And basically, she started off talking about how all the other candidates declined except for Donald Trump. And she said, in fact, to him, meaning Donald Trump, every American is worth fighting for. So that was good words out of Kristi Noem. Some of the things she talked about in her speech tonight is that the gross domestic product is up 10%, 10.1%, in fact, in the state of South Dakota. The population is up 10 times more than the national average. So things going really well for the state of South Dakota. South Dakota is growing faster than any other state in the United States. Something that is a very well-known fact for those that are here in the Red River Valley and in North Dakota, South Dakota, is that South Dakota's population. South Dakota also has the lowest unemployment rate than any other state in the United States. Kristi Noem, again, during the COVID-19 pandemic, while other states were shutting down to the COVID pandemic, Kristi Noem, she kept South Dakota open. And therefore, the state of South Dakota has the lowest unemployment rates in the United States. On the other hand, when we talk about population growing, South Dakota has the highest birth rates in the United States. So not only is population growing because of jobs coming into South Dakota is also growing because the birth rates in that great state are the highest in the United States. Kristi Noem thanked everyone in attendance that came. She talked about the border issue. The border issue is probably the hottest issue for President Trump, because when he left office, the 45th President of the United States, the border was being fixed. He left, and now we have the situation that we do have. Kristi Noem, in her speech today, said the only person to fix the border is Donald J. Trump, the 45th President of the United States of America. Kristi Noem said that. Kristi Noem also criticized the other candidates running for the Republican nomination for president for their response to the COVID-19 pandemic. And noted by that that she was going to be attacked for speaking truth. Kristi Noem noted that she would be attacked for speaking truth tonight. In the end, right before she introduced the 45th president of the United States of America, Kristi Noem, South Dakota governor, who some people believe that Kristi Noem is going to be potentially Donald Trump's vice presidential pick. Tonight, Kristi Noem endorsed the 45th president of the United States, Donald J. Trump. Now, whether that signals the fact that Kristi Noem may get a vice presidential nod, we'll see. But what we do know is that tonight, South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem endorsed the 45th president of the United States, Donald J. Trump, for the Republican nomination to be the 47th president of the United States of America. Drop your comments in the comments section below. We will do our best to get any comments on the live stream. Again, we're hopefully going to be joined by Scott Hannon, host of the What's on Your Mind radio program on AM 1100 The Flag and AM 1090 KTGO in Tioga. We're going to hopefully be joined by Scotty. Maybe even Kevin Flynn will join us down from Rapid City, South Dakota, where today, in front of 7,000 people, the 45th president of the United States, Donald J. Trump, spoke for an hour and 47 minutes. Now, let's talk a little bit about President Trump's speech. You knew that President Trump's speech was going to be energetic. It was going to energize the crowd. And it did just that. President Trump came out to a loud and raucous crowd there at the monument in Rapid City, South Dakota. And among the first things that he did, no surprise, praised South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem, who just minutes before he had received the endorsement of. So no surprise there. President Trump, in typical President Trump fashion, said that come the 2024 election, he, as president of the United States, is going to take back the White House and make America great again. Saying that, we, quote, we have to take our country back. We will restore our nation. Those words, among the first words from the 45th president of the United States of America, in front of 7,000 people in Rapid City, South Dakota, and watching worldwide, whether it's here on our live stream on am1100theflag.com or our social media channels, whether it was watching on Newsmax or the Right Side Broadcasting Network, or yet watching in a news story later on Fox News or any of the other outlets that are covering this. Trump talked about the disasters in the Biden administration. the biggest disaster, while it is one of the newest disasters, is Bidenomics. Trump said, quote, "No disaster has been worse than Bidenomics." Cumulative inflation up 20%. The dollar lost 20% of its value. There's been $11.5 trillion in spending by Joe Biden and under the Joe Biden administration. $11.5 trillion. Just let that sink in for a second. $11.5 trillion spent by the Joe Biden administration. And for the first time, President Trump, the 45th president of the United States, said that we are probably heading into a Great Depression. He has never said that until tonight in Rapid City, South Dakota. He said, quote, "We are probably heading into a Great Depression." Real income is down $7,000 under the Biden administration. President Trump put it quite plainly. You have a choice between a Biden economic bust or a Trump economic boom. Those are the two options the 45th president of the United States gave tonight. An economic bust under the Biden administration or an economic boom under a Donald J. Trump administration. Trump is working for you. Trump is working for you. And Trump said tonight that we would have had a nuclear war without him getting in office. Whether or not that actually would have happened, we don't know. Is it likely? Is that a far-fetched idea? President Trump said, quote, "We would have had a nuclear war without me in office," essentially. When he brought up tonight the fact that he isn't doing the debates, he did hint at the potential that he's not going to debate in any of the rest of the Republican primaries. Whether or not that actually happens, I don't know. But he did say tonight, quote, "I look forward to debating the Democrat," meaning the Democratic nominee for president. So does that mean President Trump, the 45th president of the United States, will forego any of the rest of the debates and not debate until the final two? By what he said tonight, it's very possible. He brought up the word cheating. In fact, his exact quote is, quote, "We have to be sure they don't cheat." Again, referring likely to the 2020 election. And he basically said that later in the speech regarding the 2024 election, that and if he were to get into office, that he would secure the elections in the future. And believe you me, if the 45th president of the United States says when he becomes the 47th president of the United States that he's going to secure elections, he's going to secure elections. He used a phrase that I found very empowering. He said, we have to fight, we have to win, and we have to seek justice together. We have to be respected again. And we have to go back to a merit-based country. Very powerful words by candidate Donald J. Trump, the 45th president of the United States. Very powerful words. President Trump vowed tonight in front of 7,000 people in Rapid City, South Dakota, that he will have the Russia-Ukraine war settled if he is elected the 47th president of the United States of America. That war between Russia and Ukraine, if President Donald J. Trump, the 45th president of the United States, is elected the 47th president, he vows to settle the Russia-Ukraine war. Again, he said that he's going to uphold the Second Amendment. And he's also vowed to prevent World War III. Now, World War III, the 45th president said tonight, isn't going to be a traditional World War III. President Trump, the 45th president of the United States, said that World War III would be a nuclear war. And he, if elected, is going to prevent that from happening. Again, he said they will seal up the borders. Something that President Trump was working on when he was the 45th president of the United States, and that he vows to continue to do when he's the 47th president, should he be elected. Now is the time for action. What that means, President Trump said, is that now we've got to get out and vote. Now you have to get out and vote. And he says it every single time. Every single time. Make America great again. Again, so much more of this to come Monday on the Need to Know Morning Show with Kevin Flynn and Alex Taylor, 6 to 8:30 on AM 1100 The Flag, and on the What's on Your Mind radio show coming up on Monday, 8:30 to 11 on AM 1100 The Flag, and 9 to 11 on AM 1090 KTGO Tioga, North Dakota. Again, we'd like to thank you for watching our coverage today, both of the Need to Know Morning Show and What's on Your Mind, and tonight's coverage of President Trump's visit to Rapid City, South Dakota. We want to thank our sponsors, Stratacorp, Nodak Insurance Company, Matt Moxness Agency, ND Estate Services, and Dakota Refrigeration. Without them, none of this would be possible. And again, thank you to all of you who have tuned in here to our coverage, both on air and online, at AM 1100 The Flag and AM 1090 KTGO in Tioga. Again, we'll be back on Monday. Until Monday, we'll see you again. Thanks for watching and listening to our coverage of the 45th President of the United States, Donald J. Trump's visit to Rapid City, South Dakota.